My child, listen closely, because I have something big to tell you. I am holding a wonderful gift for you, and I am only waiting for your heart to grow big enough and clean enough to carry it safely. A gift like this is never just a gift. It is also a quiet test wrapped inside the light. You may feel ready right now, but if your heart still has dirt in it, even a good gift can turn into a trap, and the enemy won't even need to do anything. The gift itself will do the damage if your heart is not ready. Think about King Solomon. God gave him wisdom nobody else had, more riches than anyone could count, and fame that spread far and wide. But slowly, quietly, his heart started to wander away from God, and the very things that were supposed to be blessings turned into the knife that cut him. He built a beautiful temple for God with his own hands, but later he built altars for fake gods too. Solomon did not fall during the hard, hungry years. He fell during the good years, the rich years, because his heart stopped being washed clean every day. I do not give blessings so you forget me. I give them so that even with everything in your hands, you still look up and remember you need me. There are seasons in your life where I hide you on purpose. You feel forgotten. People who used to be close to you slowly step back. Your words don't seem to carry weight anymore. Doors stop opening. Your heart aches and you whisper, God, do you still see me? My child, that lonely, quiet, confusing place is not abandonment. It is me, tucking you safely under my wing, like a mother bird hiding her babies from circling hawks. I am shielding the tiny seed of blessing inside you before jealous eyes can find it and tear it apart before it's even grown. If you rush out too soon, chasing attention before your season comes, you will burn up everything I was so carefully building in the quiet. There will be a time when I let certain people walk out of your life, and you will not understand why. You will cry over losing them. But I will breathe a sigh of relief, because some relationships are not allowed to go any further. I don't cut them off because I am cruel. I cut them off because I can see clearly that they are slowly draining away the very blessing growing inside you. These are the same people who were happy when you were small and struggling, but grew uncomfortable the moment you started to grow strong in me. They stayed quiet when you were hurting, but had plenty to say the moment there was gossip to spread. The tighter you hold on to people like that, the slower you move forward. Some victories are only given to those brave enough to lose certain people along the way. There will be days when your prayers feel dry, like words falling into an empty room. My silence will stretch on so long that your soul feels lost in it. That is not me ignoring you. That is the test rising to a harder level. You will ask, God, why won't you speak while I'm waiting for an answer? And I am quietly watching to see if you will still trust me, even when you feel absolutely nothing. Big blessings always come with big tests attached. The enemy isn't scared when you're struggling and weak. It trembles when you stay faithful while seeing nothing change. So please, don't give up too soon. So many people lose their blessing, not because they weren't good enough, but because they walked away from their post just minutes before the breakthrough was about to arrive. Every video on this channel is created with love, faith, and dedication to sharing God's Word. If these messages inspire and encourage you, you can support our mission through PayPal, links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for being part of this journey. There are seasons where I go quiet on purpose, and it feels like you've been left floating alone in empty space. You pray and hear nothing back. You knock and no door opens. You look around for a helping hand and find none. Your heart closes up a little, your soul starts to crack, and you start thinking, I don't care anymore. But right in that very moment, I am quietly wrapping a hidden cover around you, because the blessing meant for you is getting close, and the enemy is frantically searching for ways to destroy it before it arrives. If I don't hide you during this time, you would be exposed to jealous attacks and prying eyes that aren't ready for what's coming. As it says in the Psalms, whoever stays close to the Most High will always be sheltered in his shadow. You are not abandoned, my child. You are being hidden by me, on purpose, with love. I know hiddenness hurts your heart. People who were once close slowly fade away. Your words seem to lose their meaning to others. Doors close in your face one after another. You start thinking you did something wrong, that I'm punishing you somehow. But this is not punishment, sweet child. This is protection. Some people are not allowed to hear what I'm about to whisper into your heart, because their lips aren't pure enough to keep something so precious safe. Some places are not safe for you to stay in anymore, because the soil there has gone bad and can't feed the seed I planted in you. I'm not cutting things away because you lack something. I'm cutting them away because the blessing is getting closer, and I need to keep you out of reach from jealous hearts. When I hide you, I'm not forgetting you. I'm growing you. I don't want you to become someone who needs the world's applause just to feel okay. A person carrying a heavenly gift cannot survive on flimsy human praise. If you constantly need people to notice you, you won't survive the place I'm about to put you, a place where nobody understands you yet. I am teaching you the value of quiet, the place where my voice is loudest. Only when no one else is standing beside you will you truly hear my footsteps walking with you. Here's a truth not many people are willing to accept. Before I lift someone up high, I always lead them into a hidden place first, just like Moses, who I placed inside a crack in the rock so my glory could pass by without crushing him. You are in that same crack right now. It feels dark and narrow, but it is safe. You only get to see the backside of what's happening, while I quietly do the work that no one else can see yet. Your loneliness is not a sign that you failed. It's a sign that something is being born. Everything truly great in my kingdom starts in stillness. Be patient, because I am working deep inside you, in parts that the spotlight isn't ready to see yet. If you keep looking at everything through human eyes only, you will jump to the wrong conclusion and think God has left you. And the moment you believe that, you will run out of the safe place I built for you, straight into an open field where danger is waiting. So many people have done this. They stepped out too early and got crushed by the varied blessing they had prayed so hard for. Hiddenness is not rejection. It is the way I protect the most precious thing growing inside you. If I haven't let you shine yet, it's not because you're not good enough. It's because I'm waiting for your inner light to grow strong enough that it won't get swallowed up by the bright lights around you. I know you're tired. You've waited so long and nothing seems to be changing. You watch other people's doors swing wide open while you're still standing outside, knocking again and again. But my child, you don't need to knock on someone else's door, because I am building a brand new door just for you. You think you've been left behind, but really, I'm pulling you away from the crowd so you don't get lost inside it. I'm teaching you to lean on me, not on noise, not on crowds, not on numbers. You were chosen to build something, not just to blend in with everyone else. Someone carrying a heavenly inheritance cannot be trained surrounded by applause. They are trained in quiet and in tears. Remember little David, the shepherd boy who got left out in the fields while his brothers were invited to the big feast with the prophet Samuel. In that exact moment, when everyone else thought he didn't matter, I called his name, because I had already seen a humble heart inside him, a heart fit to be king. It's the same with you today. Not because you're already great, but because you are hidden, the blessing inside you is being kept safe. Don't be afraid of the dark, because I am right there with you in it. Don't be afraid of being forgotten, because I am remembering you more than ever. as long as you keep your heart calm in that secret place. I know exactly when to open the door, and when I open it, nobody will be able to shut it again. I don't want you to give up right before the finish line. The moment you feel most alone is actually the moment I am closest to you. I don't want you to only notice the loneliness. I want you to feel the warm coat of protection wrapped around your shoulders. I don't want you to only hear silence. I want you to hear my whisper hiding inside that silence. Rest in me, because when your heart is calm, you'll hear the heartbeat of my plan for you. And once you understand that being hidden isn't the same as being forgotten, you'll stop complaining and start saying thank you instead. I'm teaching you something only a few people learns: how to stay still in the dark when every part of you is begging for the light. Once you learn this, you won't shake with fear at silence anymore. And you won't feel anxious when others seem to be moving faster than you. Because you'll know that real blessings never come early. They arrive at the exact moment you're strong enough to hold them without breaking. Just as I promised through the prophet Jeremiah, who said, I have plans of peace for you, plans for a good future and hope. And my child, that future is closer than you think. But before I release it, I need to wash your heart clean of fear and doubt. I need you to learn how to stay quiet and still believe, how to stay hidden and still be glad, how to see nothing and still stay faithful. Only a heart refined through hiding is strong enough to carry a blessing without letting that blessing destroy it. And once you've learned to rest while hidden, I will start trimming away anything that doesn't belong to you anymore, so that when the blessing finally comes, your heart will feel light enough to actually hold it. My dear child, there are things I have to take away from you, not because I want you to lose, but because I want to save what's left inside you. Often, you can't see it, but the very people you're holding onto so tightly are actually like ropes slowly tightening around your soul. I know you love them. I know you've cried over them. But if I don't cut some of those ropes, you will slowly fade away while feeling sorry for yourself. When I let someone leave your life, please don't see it as betrayal. See it as heaven stepping in to help you. Some people are only meant to write one chapter of your story, not the whole book. If you insist on keeping them around forever, you're rewriting an ending I already wrote a long time ago. Remember Abraham and his nephew Lot? When I called Abraham to leave his father's house, I never told him to bring Lot along too. But Abraham loved his nephew and thought a little extra company couldn't hurt. Later, right in the middle of green, beautiful land, Abraham and Lot had to split apart in an unpleasant way. When you walk forward with the wrong person beside you, your blessing turns into a heavy weight. So many times blessings get delayed, not because I'm slow, but because you're dragging along people heaven never asked you to walk with. I see the fear in your heart of losing people. You're scared of being alone, scared of being misunderstood, scared people will think you're cold-hearted. But if you let those fears steer you, you will never walk the path I have laid out for you. Some people were happy when you were weak, but got uncomfortable the moment you started standing tall. Some stayed silent while you were being misunderstood, but had plenty to say the second. There was something bad to whisper about you. They don't actually hate you. They just can't handle the light growing inside you. The light isn't the problem. Darkness will always push back against light whenever it gets exposed. Don't blame them. Instead, thank me for showing you who is real and who isn't before you step into your next season. You often ask why I let you lose people you love, and I keep whispering the same answer. It's because I want you to be free. Every person I remove isn't a punishment. It's a cleaning. If you keep relationships that only run on emotions, you'll end up dragging them through a door I never opened for them. That door is for you, not for a crowd. You can't bring everyone up the same mountain, because at the very top, there isn't room for everybody. Even Jesus, when he went to pray in the garden, only brought 3 close friends partway with him. And when he reached the deepest part of his prayer, he went on completely alone. Some stretches of the road are only meant for you to walk, no matter how much you love the people left behind. True love doesn't always mean holding on tight. Sometimes it means knowing exactly when to let go. You're not losing them. You're simply placing them back into my hands, right where they belong. When I decide to cut something away, it's because I can already see things you can't see yet. You see kindness and loyalty in someone, but I see cracks in their heart that, if you stay too close, will end up breaking you too. I know there are promises between you and them, but my word matters more than any human promise. A bond held together only by feelings will never outlast a promise sealed by something far stronger. I want you to think honestly about why you keep holding on to people who aren't walking your road anymore. Is it fear that nobody else will understand you? Or is it that you haven't fully believed I can fill every empty space left behind? When you try to tie back together the threads I already cut, you end up working against the very thing I'm trying to build for you. You say you just want peace, but really you're scared of losing control. You say you want to love the way I ask you to, but really you're avoiding the pain of letting go. Love doesn't mean clinging. When I tell you to love someone, I never said you had to keep them close forever. Do you know what happens when you hold on to relationships I've already finished blessing through? The good things start getting tainted. Secrets get shared with the wrong people. Words you said with a pure heart get twisted and used as weapons against you. The enemy doesn't even need to attack you directly. It just uses people close to you to slowly drain your strength and your faith. I've watched so many people fall, not in huge battles, but simply because they couldn't let go of people who used to laugh with them in an earlier season. Some faces were a blessing in the old chapter, but become a problem in the new one. I am cleaning up the circle around you, not so you'll be lonely, but so you won't be tricked. Some people only enter your life to help you learn a lesson. Once the lesson is learned, they can leave, and the lesson stays with you. You may love anyone you choose, but never let that love grow bigger than my voice. If I tell you to let go, don't demand a reason right away, because sometimes the answer only becomes clear after the tears have already fallen. Just like Abraham, who I only spoke a brand new promise over after he and Lot had finally parted ways. I told him to lift his eyes and look at all the land I was giving him. The blessing only came after the tangled ties were loosened. Don't be afraid of empty spaces. I don't take things away to leave you with nothing. I take them away to make you clean. Wherever you're willing to lose something, that's exactly where I'll plant something true. Wherever you're willing to feel pain, that's where I'll make all things new. But if you keep holding on to things that are already dead, I can't pour fresh life into you. You can't pour new juice into an old, cracked cup. You have to let me make you new, even if the process leaves a few scars along the way. Trust that today's wound is tomorrow's doorway into something beautiful. And once you learn how to let go, you'll feel a strange, steady peace settle over you. You'll stop crying over the people who left and instead feel thankful that I let their true colors show early. You'll start to notice who is really meant to walk beside you and who was only ever feeding off your blessings. You'll choose quiet over arguing, prayer over complaining, because you'll know I'm simply clearing the table to set up a brand new feast. I tell you all this so your heart can finally rest. No loss with me is ever pointless. Every person I take away is a weight you no longer have to carry. Every door I close is a wrong path you'll never have to pay for. Every tear that falls when you let go is a seed I'm watering for your next season. So don't regret it, don't panic, and don't try to turn back. You don't need old relationships to feel complete. You only need me, the one who never changes. And once your heart feels lighter, you'll hear my voice much more clearly, because true blessing never shows up surrounded by noise and chaos. It comes to hearts that have been cleaned of jealousy and clutter. The more you learn to let go, the closer the blessing gets. And in that quiet space, you'll realize something else too. I'm not only teaching you to let go of people, I'm teaching you to let go of your own pride. So you'll be humble enough to hold on to what I'm about to give you in this new season. Some things can only unlock once you're brave enough to keep moving, even when nobody walks beside you. The moment you truly learn to walk with just me, blessings stop being blocked, because now, no other hand has the right to hold your life except mine. We are committed to spreading hope, faith, and the message of Jesus Christ to people around the world. If you would like to help us continue this work, please visit PayPal links below. Your kindness means more than words can express. My beloved child, one sneaky trick the enemy loves to use is making you believe that my silence means I'm doing nothing. It whispers things like, God has forgotten you, or maybe that promise was only ever in your head, and slowly, your heart starts to wobble. Your faith cracks a little, like a small lamp running low on oil. But hear me clearly, my silence never means I've left. When you can't see me moving, that's exactly when I'm arranging things deep beneath the surface, places your eyes can't reach yet. Like a seed buried underground, nobody sees it sprouting, but in the dark it is growing. I know you're tired of waiting for the promise, waiting for the door to open, waiting for the thing I spoke to actually happen. Every day that passes, your heart feels a little weaker, and you start asking yourself if maybe you got it all wrong. But my child, you're not wrong. You're just walking through the hardest part of the test. Every promise of mine has to pass through the fire of time, so your faith can come out pure, like refined gold. If I gave you the blessing the second you asked, you'd never learn how to actually hold on to it. Waiting isn't delay. Waiting is the process I use to grow your faith bigger. As the scripture says, faith means being sure of what we hope for, even when we can't see it yet. And it's exactly when you see nothing that real faith gets born. I see every night you want to give up. You kneel down to pray and stand back up full of doubt, wondering if maybe I'm saving that blessing for somebody else instead. But my child, I never picked you because you were already perfect. I picked you so I could show my kindness through your life. What you're waiting for isn't a prize for being flawless. It's the fruit of staying faithful. I'm teaching you a kind of faith that doesn't depend on results, but on relationship. When you're only chasing outcomes, you'll feel anxious. When you're only seeking me, you'll feel peace, because when you have me, you never truly lack anything. Real faith isn't standing strong in a huge storm. Real faith is staying on your knees, even when you have zero strength left. When you're exhausted and still believe, that's the moment heaven starts signing decrees on your behalf. I'm not silent just to test you. I'm silent to position you. That silence is a test of love. Will you stay when there's no more comfort left? When every sign disappears and only my word remains, will you still hold on? Don't be afraid of the silence. Be careful not to lose your faith while you're waiting in it. Because if you quit in the very last minute, you'll never know that I was just one more moment away from stepping in. So many people stop right before the sunrise. They walk almost the whole journey, then turn back because they got tired or impatient, thinking I was too slow. They look for an easier, faster fix, and right there, they lose the very inheritance meant for them. Remember Abraham, who waited years and years for the promised son. When his patience ran out, he listened to a quicker idea and had a son named Ishmael instead. And that choice brought years of trouble for his family afterward. Sometimes the faster option isn't the right one. I work within time, but I am never trapped by it. If you don't learn to trust me through the waiting, you'll miss one of the biggest lessons of living under grace. Waiting isn't an empty gap. Every single moment you spend there is a moment I'm using to prepare you for what you've been asking for. If you got the blessing while your heart wasn't ready, it would crush you instead of lifting you up. Think about Joseph. If he had left prison earlier than planned, he never would have met Pharaoh, never would have ended up in the exact position I had designed for him. It's the same for you. Some doors haven't opened yet, not because I forgot about you, but because I'm rebuilding the foundation underneath, so that when you finally step through, you'll stand strong instead of falling apart. I know there are days you want to quit, to take a break, to look at others who seem to have it easier, and start comparing yourself to them. But I didn't call you to follow them. I called you to follow me. Their journey isn't your journey. I placed a different kind of grace inside you, one born through tears, quiet time, and waiting. Don't let other people's rushing throw off the rhythm of my steps, because I don't run, I lead, and whoever learns to walk at my pace always arrives, even if it feels a little slower. I want to teach you a deeper kind of patience, the kind that lives in your heart, not just your actions. Patience isn't doing nothing. It's knowing how to trust even while you're doing very little. You don't need to look strong. You just need to not walk away. Sometimes standing still is actually the strongest way to fight. Just keep kneeling. Keep believing. Keep staying quietly close to me, because I am never slow. Everything I've promised has its own perfect timing, and that timing is closer than you think. But if you leave your spot too soon, the blessing might arrive and find an empty space where you used to stand. As it's written, let's not get tired of doing good, because in the right season, we will gather the harvest, as long as we don't give up. My child, I don't blame you for feeling tired. I only hope you don't turn back. Every time you think I'm far away, remember the times I already pulled you out of deep pits before. I'm still that same one, never changing. Don't let delay trick you into doubting my love. Delay isn't rejection, it's shaping. I'm teaching you to trust my word instead of the rhythm of the world around you. And when your heart finally goes quiet enough, you'll realize it's right here, in this silence, that I'm writing the greatest chapter of your whole life. Once you make it through this season of waiting, you won't be the same person anymore. You won't be someone who rushes after results. You'll be someone who understands heaven's rhythm. Then I can finally trust you with blessing. Without worrying it will pull you away from me, because I'll have seen that your heart isn't chasing success anymore. It's chasing my presence. And that, my child, is the sign that real blessing is finally ready to be revealed. Now, let's pause here for just a moment. If these words are touching your heart right now, tap that like button as a small but meaningful way of saying, I agree with what my Father is speaking over my life today. It's not about getting more views. It's a tiny act of faith, like a seed planted in the spiritual world. And while you're here, go ahead and subscribe too, so you don't miss the rest of this journey we're walking through together. My beloved child, I know there are wounds inside you that time, never quite healed. Words spoken over you when you were small still echo like a verdict deep in your heart. You'll never amount to anything. Faith is just pretend. You were born ordinary. Those words felt harmless at the time, but they took root and made you forget who you really are in me. Every time you believe those old words, you let the enemy quietly rewrite your own definition of yourself. It doesn't need chains to trap you. if it can convince you that you have no value, because then you'll lock your own heart shut. But I say you are a wonderful and amazing creation, because everything I make is wonderful. You are not a mistake. You are my masterpiece. You think those old words have faded, but they're still quietly steering how you react today. When someone looks down on you, you shut your heart immediately. When someone praises you, you can't quite believe it. When I call you to step forward, you tremble, because old memories still whisper that you're not enough. In that moment, you forget that my word is far stronger than any human voice ever could be. You're living like a prisoner even though the cell door has been open this whole time. So many people around you don't even dislike you, but you keep looking at them through the lens of old wounds. You're so afraid of being rejected that you end up rejecting the very opportunities I send your way. Don't let yesterday's shadows cover today's light. I see you trying so hard to be strong, trying to prove your worth through success and effort and blessings. But if deep down your real motive is just to prove something to people who hurt you, you're still trapped. I didn't call you to prove yourself. I called you to live freely in my grace. When you use blessing to cover old wounds, that blessing becomes a heavy burden instead of a gift. I don't give you blessings so you can run from your memories. I give them so you can use your story to bring healing to other people too. You don't need success to have worth. You already have worth. And that is exactly why I trust you with this inheritance. Do you know why the enemy loves using hurtful words against you? Because it knows the real battle happens in the mind. Once a negative word slips into your heart, it slowly turns into the way you see your whole life. If you believe you're weak, you'll live weak. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll turn down every good opportunity. The enemy barely has to do anything once you start defeating yourself for it. But I promise you, no weapon made against you will succeed, and every voice that rises up to accuse you will be silenced. People's words have no real power over your life unless you let them in and agree with them. I see every memory of being humiliated, misunderstood, or left behind. I don't look away. Every single tear gets gathered up by me, but I don't want you living there forever. If you keep holding on to pain, it becomes your identity, and you'll trap yourself inside the image of the one who got hurt, when I've already called you the one who is healed. People might describe you based on what they see on the outside, but only I have the right to truly define who you are, and my definition of you has never once changed. You are my child, and you belong to the King. Think about Gideon, who said his family was the weakest, and he was the least important person in his whole house. But I looked right at him and called him a mighty warrior. I didn't call him by his current situation. I called him by the potential I had already placed inside him. In the same way, I don't call you by your past. I call you by the destiny I already wrote for you. The real question is, whose voice are you listening to more? The old voices from your past or mine? If you keep listening to those old voices, you'll stay stuck living as an outdated version of yourself. But if you choose to believe my fresh word instead, you'll be reborn right on the very ground that once hurt you the most. I know some wounds aren't easy to even look at. You've buried them so deep you think you've forgotten them, but they're still quietly steering how you react to life. You avoid love, you fear closeness, you struggle to trust, and you look at people through a fog of suspicion. I see you building walls between yourself and the rest of the world. But how can light get in if those walls never come down? I don't want you pretending to be fine. I want you truly healed. Let me touch the parts you're scared to even speak about. Don't be afraid, because I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to heal you. Every part of you that you think I would reject is exactly the place I want to start working in. When I heal something, I don't just patch it up, I make it brand new. I don't simply erase the memory. I rewrite what it means. What once made you feel shame, I'll turn into a story of grace. The pain that once silenced you, I'll turn into a voice that wakes up other hurting people. I will make the very people who once looked down on you say, "Only God could have done this." But for that to happen, you have to let me touch you. You have to stop protecting yourself so hard, because honestly, your own defenses have kept you trapped longer than the original wound ever did. Ask yourself honestly, are you scared of what people will say? Or are you scared of finally facing yourself? Once you know who you are in me, human opinions lose all their weight. Once you understand that blessing exists to bring me glory, you'll stop needing to prove anything to anyone. I don't need you to be perfect. I need you to be real, because I can only heal the parts you're brave enough to bring into the light. Don't fear the light. It doesn't come to burn you. It comes to wash you clean. When I start handing you your inheritance, I'm not just giving you money or a title. I'm giving back the true worth the world tried to steal from you. My blessing isn't only about things. It's about freedom. Freedom from shame, fear, and from having to constantly play the role of the strong one. A role I never even asked you to play. When the chains inside you finally break, every blessing on the outside will actually last. If your heart is still torn up, a blessing will feel like a pretty coat thrown over a wound that's still bleeding. But once your heart is healed, you'll be able to wear that blessing like a robe of honor, without any fear that it's just covering something broken underneath. This ministry exists to bring encouragement, prayer, and God's truth to every heart that needs it. You can stand with us through PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. May God bless you abundantly for your love and support. Let me whisper this gently to you. Nobody has the right to define you except me. No bitter word can erase your name from my hand. No painful past is strong enough to break the plan I've already written for you. You are not what people say about you. You are what I say about you, and I have already said it. You are loved, you are chosen, and you are sent out with purpose. Once you truly believe this, every invisible chain will fall off. You'll stop searching for your worth in people's mouths and start finding it in my eyes instead. You'll stop fearing failure because you'll know you're already accepted. Then, once your heart is healed, you'll start attracting things that are pure too. People who come near you won't come looking for what they can get from you. They'll come because of the light shining through you. A healed heart becomes a home where I love to live. And once that heart is washed clean, once old hurtful words no longer rule over you, I will pour out blessing in a way that nothing can hold back. But remember this important truth: blessing can lift you up, but it can also pull you down if you're not careful. So keep your heart soft, so that blessing never pulls you away from me. The scariest thing isn't being in need. It's being full and forgetting the one who gave you everything in the first place. There is something I need to tell you very gently, but very honestly. The enemy doesn't only use hard times to bring you down. It is just as skilled at using good times to quietly pull you away from me. When life is hard, you run to me. You cry out to me. You hold on to me as your only hope. But once doors start opening, money starts flowing, and opportunities multiply, your heart can quietly shift its center, without you even saying a word out loud. Deep inside, you start believing you've got things handled now, that you can manage just fine on your own. That's exactly when the blessing starts twisting from a gift I gave you into something you sit on top of, just to feel bigger than other people. The blessing hasn't changed at all. Your heart has changed, and that turns the blessing into a kind of gentle judgment, without you even noticing. I watch every single step you take, as you walk into this season of favor. At first you were still trembling, still praying over even the smallest decisions, still checking in with me about everything. But then your schedule got fuller. The phone calls came more often. The invitations multiplied. Slowly, prayer started feeling like a luxury. Reading my word became something for later, and worship only happened if there's time. You forgot that the very things you're holding now are things you once knelt and begged me for. You forgot it was me who pulled you up out of that low place to begin with. Just as I warned long ago, when you eat and are full, when you build nice homes and settle in, when your flocks and herds multiply, don't let your heart grow proud and forget the Lord your God. That warning wasn't only for people long ago, it's for you today too. What breaks my heart isn't that you've become richer, more skilled, or more well-known. I'm not jealous of your success, because I'm the one who made a way for it in the first place. What hurts is that when I call, you're busy. When I knock, you stay silent. When I gently remind you, you say, "Later, Lord." Slowly, you start caring more about what people think than what I think. You weigh decisions by how they make you look, instead of whether they line up with my will. Without even realizing it, you're drifting little by little away from the center of my purpose, all while telling yourself you're serving God through your success. I want you to pause and look honestly into your own heart right now. If I took away everything you currently have, would your life still feel meaningful? If every position, every dollar, every bit of reputation disappeared overnight, would you still feel like I'm enough? Because if losing those blessings would feel like losing everything, then those blessings have quietly become your God. I don't want you worshiping the gift. I want you walking closely with the one who gave it to you. As it's written, "What good is it to gain the whole world, but lose your own soul?" That wasn't written to scare you. It was written to pull you back into balance. Blessings themselves aren't bad. Clinging to them too tightly is the real danger. The moment you start thinking you deserve everything you have, the moment you put yourself at the center of your own story, and forget that it's all grace, that's the exact moment the blessing flips from servant to master over you. I've watched many people love me with their whole heart back when they had very little, only to grow cold once they were lifted up. They weren't crushed by hardship. They were worn down by comfort. It wasn't the storm that put them to sleep. It was the soft, cozy bed. I don't want that story to be your story. I also notice how you slowly start adjusting your standards once blessing starts looking attractive. Some invitations at the start were clearly not from me, but because they looked so good, so reasonable. You told yourself, "Surely God's fine with this too." You started signing off on tiny compromises, small shortcuts, telling yourself, "Everyone does it." But every small compromise is one more step away from the safe zone I built for you. True blessing never needs you to cheat to hold on to it. Only things that don't come from me need lies and hiding to survive. If you have to dodge the truth and avoid the light to keep something, it isn't a blessing anymore. It's a trap wearing a blessing's clothes. I'm not telling you this to make you afraid of blessing. I'm telling you so you know how to guard your heart while you're in the middle of it. I don't want you poor. I want you wealthy and still tender toward me. I want you to have an inheritance so you can lift other people up, help suffering people, and open your heart wider to those weaker than you. But if that inheritance only makes you build higher walls, push further away from people, and even drift away from prayer, then that inheritance is slowly eating away at you instead of feeding you. A true blessing from me always pulls you closer to me, never further away. Be still for a moment, and let me ask you something. When was the last time you sought me out just to be near me? Not for a plan or a project, or some guidance you needed, When was the last time you cried in front of me, not because you were stressed about succeeding, but simply because you longed to feel close to me? When was the last time you turned down a tempting opportunity simply because it made my voice harder to hear in your heart? These questions aren't meant to make you feel guilty. They're meant to refocus your eyes, because wherever your heart feels most at home, that's where the true center of your life really is. I want to teach you how to live inside blessing without being controlled by it. It means bowing lower every single time you're lifted higher. The higher you rise, the deeper you should kneel. The more you hold, the more willing you should be to let go. Don't grip so tightly that your hands stiffen up, because then when I need to use you, you won't be flexible enough to obey. Practice handing back to me what I've given you, not because I need it, but because you need the reminder that you don't actually own anything. You're only a caretaker, and a wise caretaker never mistakes themselves for the owner. I know there are moments you worry that slowing down to be closer to me might cost you opportunities. I smile gently at that thought, because I'm the one who opens and closes doors in the first place. No door I've reserved for you can ever be stolen by someone else. The only thing that can truly make you miss your moment is stepping outside of my plan yourself. So don't be afraid to slow down to protect your heart. Don't hesitate to set some things aside to protect our closeness. Don't be afraid to say no to invitations where I'm not present in them. It's far better to lose one opportunity and keep your soul than to gain 1,000 opportunities and lose yourself in the process. As it's written, tell those who are rich not to be proud and not to put their hope in money, which can disappear so easily, but to put their hope in the living God instead. That's not just a message for wealthy people. It's a message for anyone who has been given more than others in any way at all, whether that's talent, influence, opportunity, or resources. At some point, you might be the rich one in someone else's eyes too. So don't wait until you have a lot to start practicing humility. Start now, while the blessing is still just a tender little sprout, because the younger the tree, the more it needs gentle training, so it never has to be cut down later. Let me say this so your heart can settle. I'm not afraid of your success. I'm only watchful that success doesn't pull you out of my hands. I celebrate when you're lifted up, but I feel sorrow if, on the day you're honored, you stop recognizing my voice over the applause. I'm proud when the world sees my light shining through you, but I feel sad if you use that light to shine on yourself, instead of pointing back to where it came from. You weren't born to be the star. You were born to be a mirror, and the clearer the mirror, the more clearly people see my reflection through you. So keep your heart soft before me. That's the only thing that stops blessing from becoming an idol. Every time you notice you're holding on to something tighter, then you're holding on to me. Be brave enough to lay it back down. Every time applause stirs your heart more than my voice does, come back to the quiet place. Every time your schedule gets so full there's no room left for me, let me trim it back. I don't prune you to make you poorer. I prune you so you don't lose the most precious thing you have, your soul. On the hard days, you thought you might collapse. But honestly, the good days, the celebrated days, can be far more dangerous. Many people haven't stumbled during their darkest nights, but have fallen during their brightest celebrations. I don't want that to be your story. I've walked with you through the deepest valleys, and I want to walk with you on the highest mountaintops too. Both places need me equally. Just remember this one truth: your inheritance is not your crown. It's the proof of my grace. If you hold on to that truth, blessing will never become a trap. Instead, it will become a bridge that leads many other people back to me through the way you live your life. My child, I know about a feeling you've never quite found the words for, a small H in your chest, every time you share good news, only to notice something flicker in the eyes of people you love. Their smile stays. Their congratulations come out fine. But the air around you suddenly feels heavier, like your joy accidentally bumped into a hidden, dark corner in their heart. You think you're being too sensitive, but you're not. Your spirit picked up on something real beneath the surface. Right in the middle of your own family, among people you love deeply, there are hearts that twist a little every time you mention a victory or a breakthrough. And this hurts you, not because you dislike them, but because you can't understand why walking closely with me seems to make you feel lonelier sometimes. I've seen all of it. I've watched you talk less and less about what I'm doing in your life, simply because you're afraid of those confusing looks. I've heard the words you've never said out loud, the questions you swallow down. Lord, why does the more your name gets mentioned, the more I feel pushed away? I've counted every tear you've cried at night, not over money, but over feeling out of step with the very people closest to you. You've asked me to protect your heart from turning bitter, to help you keep loving them without falling apart inside. I've been there through every whispered prayer. I haven't missed a single sigh. There have been moments you thought about giving up, not because you're tired of me, but because you're exhausted trying to balance loving people and walking in the favor I've given you. You wanted to go back to being the smaller, quieter version of yourself, the one nobody really noticed. You've said to me, maybe I should stop here. If I go further, I might upset people or carry burdens I can't handle. I hear all of it, and I understand. I'm not upset with you for thinking these things. I'm only sad that you haven't yet seen this picture from where I'm standing. So today I lift you up, not with disappointment in my voice, but with the strength of a father who already knows how this story ends. I tell you, don't go back to where you came from. Don't walk backward in your journey just because of how other people are looking at you. The portion of inheritance I've prepared for you isn't some, maybe, anymore. It's already been decided in a place higher than any power on earth. In heaven's throne room, I've already signed my name over your share. What's been promised has already left the place of decision and is on its way to its destination, and the only address it carries is your life. No one, not even you, can stop it completely, though you could delay it or make it heavier if you let fear lead instead of faith. You've walked through a season most people know nothing about. They only see the results. But I saw the whole process. You stayed quiet after being insulted. You chose silence after being misjudged. You didn't defend yourself when wrongly accused, and instead whispered, Lord, you know my heart. Every time you let me be your defender instead of fighting for yourself, you placed yourself exactly where I could step in. I haven't forgotten the days you swallowed humiliation, just so nothing I was building got damaged. You thought those were just small, hidden moments of weakness. But to me, they were precious stones I was using to build a throne of grace over your life. Now is the time the reward begins breaking through. It's not just one gift, it's a whole new season where your spiritual weight is completely different than before. You speak, and the atmosphere shifts. You pray, and chains start loosening. You walk into a room, and darkness has to step back. This is authority forged through your tears, through every time you stayed quiet but kept believing anyway. And right at this exact moment, the enemy refuses to sit still, because it knows what I'm about to do. It can't stop my hand, but it will still try to target your heart. If it can make you waver, talk you into quitting, or push you into breaking your promise to me, the blessing will still come eventually, but you might not be standing in the right place to receive it fully. That's why lately your mind has felt so tangled, even though you can't quite explain why. Old familiar voices have started speaking again, from family, from relatives, from people who used to be close. They say things that sound reasonable, like they genuinely care about you. But underneath, you can feel a hidden sharp edge. Some tell you not to be so extreme, to live a little gentler, to stop talking about the Lord so much, to stop seeing everything as spiritual. Others gently press on your fear of being left alone, pretending to comfort you while planting doubt. What if God stops helping you one day? If you fall, who will catch you? These words feel like thin threads, but enough thin threads wrapped together can tie down something huge. The enemy knows you love your family, so it borrows their voices to plant questions in your heart. If a stranger said these things, you'd brush it off easily. But because it sounds like people you respect, you start wondering if maybe you've gone too far. Maybe you should tone yourself down just to keep everyone comfortable. This ministry exists to bring encouragement, prayer, and God's truth to every heart that needs it. You can stand with us through PayPal, links in the description and pinned comment. May God bless you abundantly for your love and support. My child, listen closely. Not every gentle word comes from me. Not every piece of family advice fits the path I've marked out specifically for you. The enemy is craftier than you think. It rarely shows up looking scary. It usually speaks through the voice of someone you don't want to disappoint. It deliberately pokes at old wounds, like memories of being criticized as a child, times you felt abandoned or treated like you didn't matter. It stirs those memories back up, making you afraid that walking in my favor will get you cut off from everyone, talked about more, misunderstood even deeper. It whispers that maybe if you just stayed normal, without all this blessing talk, there'd be less trouble. That's its strategy. If it can't stop me from blessing you, it tries to convince you to reject the blessing or to settle for far less than what I've already prepared. It whispers that I don't really care, that I don't see how tired you are, that I'm only using you like a tool. None of that is true. Those words are poison aimed right at your most tender spot. I need you to understand this clearly. You are never required to believe a voice that makes you doubt my love, no matter how close that voice is to you. You can honor people without letting their opinions outrank my word. I'm not asking you to fight your family or look down on anyone. I'm simply saying, don't let any human being, even someone you love deeply, take the place that belongs only to me in directing your life. When you hand that role over to someone else, you're placing the key to your life in human hands, when it only belongs in the hands of the one who made you. Come back to the quiet place, just you and me, so you can retune your heart and recognize the difference between my voice and every other voice. My voice may correct you and press on sore spots sometimes, but it always brings hope, always pulls you closer, always leaves you knowing that even when things are hard, you are never rejected. The other voice does the opposite. It shrinks you down, fills you with shame, convinces you the safest thing is to stop moving forward. My voice lifts your head up. The other voice makes you stare at the ground. My voice brings peace. The other voice plants confusion. Once you learn to tell the difference, every trick the enemy tries will be exposed for what it is. I never promised everyone would be happy when you step into your inheritance. Actually, the closer you get to what I've planned, the more people there will be who simply don't understand you. Some only see the surface, the compliments, the favor, the open doors. They don't see your inner battles, the times you had to let go of your own pride, the late night conversations between just you and me. They judge from far away. They compare, they feel envy. But you weren't put on this earth to manage everyone's feelings about you. You're here to obey what I've asked of you. And sometimes obeying me means accepting being misunderstood for a while. What I want from you isn't a fake smile for the crowd, but a heart that stays soft toward me, even while staying strong on the outside. Guard yourself from bitterness, from looking down on others, from getting revenge. You might notice someone isn't being sincere with you, and still choose not to resent them. Still quietly pray for them. Still keep a healthy distance without growing hatred. That's the mark of someone who has truly grown in me. Someone who doesn't let other people's darkness pull their own heart down, and doesn't let their wounds turn them hard and cold. I also want to remind you not to shrink yourself down, just to fit other people's comfort levels, because you're scared of being alone. You don't have to dim your own light, just so it stops hurting someone else's eyes. I didn't lift you up, so you'd have to ask permission from each person just to keep going. If you fold yourself smaller every time someone feels uncomfortable, you'll never finish the journey I've set out for you. Let me handle their part. You just stay faithful in yours. When you live true to your calling, some relationships will naturally shift. That's not failure. That's a necessary separation that frees you up. Remember, this inheritance isn't only so you can enjoy a more comfortable life. It's so you can become a source of blessing for the very people who don't understand you yet. One day, the people who doubted you might be the very ones coming to you for prayer, encouragement, or guidance. If you quit because of them today, you won't be able to be their answer tomorrow. Look past this moment. See them through my eyes, not as enemies, but as hurting people who simply don't know yet how to handle someone else's name being spoken more than their own. So my child, don't crumble over a few uncomfortable looks. I have already chosen you. I've already written your name over this portion of inheritance and signed the decree in heaven. The only question left is whether you'll be brave enough to hold your position. Don't let a few words, a wave of emotion, or some old memory pull you out of the place I've set you in. Keep your spirit awake, your ears tuned to my voice, your feet planted exactly where I've placed them. Don't walk away. Don't step back. Don't break your promise to me just because you're tired. You're allowed to feel weak, but please, don't let go of my hand. I'm walking with you through a very important stretch of road right now. The blessing about to be revealed will show people's hearts more clearly, including your own. Decide right now that no matter what people say, you'll choose to listen to me first. Let your hidden tears turn into prayers for your family and for everyone confused by the favor on your life. Let this inheritance prove not only that I am good to you, but become a bridge that draws many others closer to me too. And above everything, remember this: in the middle of 1,000 competing voices, there is one call that never changes. It's my voice, calling your name, day after day, hour after hour. When you're caught up in the swirl of praise and criticism, come back to the quiet place where it's just you and me. There you'll remember exactly who you are, whose you are, and what you're living for. I'm holding your hand, and I'm never letting go. Your job is just to keep your ears open, so my voice stays louder than every other voice. As long as that's true, this blessing will never become a trap. It will become living proof that I, the Lord your God, am still moving, even in the very places that feel most filled with jealousy and confusion. Listen now, my child. Before you ever did anything for me, before you preached a single sermon, signed a single contract, or stepped into any kind of success, I had already called you my heir. Not because your resume looked impressive, not because your record was spotless, but simply because I chose to love you. It was in those nights you collapsed, but still didn't blame me. It was in the days of shame, when you stayed quiet, instead of rebelling, that I saw something truly precious. A heart that wasn't perfect, but was willing to stay close to me. You could have turned away, walked off, lived like you never knew me, but you didn't. You chose to kneel even with a heart full of turmoil. You chose to lift your hands and surrender, even when hiding behind a tough exterior would have been easier. You chose to speak words of blessing when your circumstances practically begged you to complain instead. Those tiny, unseen choices, invisible to the world, are fully seen by heaven. And because of those small, quiet moments, I have signed a brand new covenant over your life, sealed not in ink, but in the blood of the Lamb himself. The hosts of heaven don't move based on your mood. They move based on the decrees I issue over you. When I declared that you would receive your portion of the inheritance, all of heaven shifted. But understand this, anything that carries eternal weight always stirs up opposition. A priceless treasure never sits unguarded in the middle of the road. The blessing I've prepared for you draws not just grace, but the jealous gaze of darkness too. Hell doesn't stay quiet when a once fragile child stands up to walk in my will. That's why I whisper to your heart, stay alert, not staying up at night out of fear, but staying spiritually awake, able to tell the difference between my voice and the voice that tries to seduce you off course. When blessing starts flowing, you'll naturally want to tell everyone, share every dream, every plan. I understand, because joy wants to be shared, but not everyone who smiles at you is genuinely happy you're being lifted up. Not everyone who stood beside you during lonely seasons is mature enough to handle the new light shining on your life now. Some people can only handle the weak version of you, not the established version of you. If you open your heart carelessly, you'll get hurt by blades you yourself let through the door. That's why I'm teaching you secrecy, not out of suspicion, but out of reverence for sacred things. Some words I speak to you are meant just for you and me to know together, not posted publicly for the whole world to comment on. Some seeds of vision need to stay hidden underground, watered by tears and prayer, not shown off in the sunlight before the roots have had time to grow. When I draw you into quieter spaces and narrow your inner circle, don't assume right away that you're being cut off. I'm protecting you from eyes that can't lift you up, only judge you. Have you noticed lately how some connections have suddenly faded? People who used to be close have slowly drifted away. Familiar places have started feeling cramped and uncomfortable. You wonder what you did wrong, why attitudes have shifted, why whispers have started among people you thought you could trust. Your heart aches. You want to explain yourself, hold on, fix things back to how they used to be. But I am simply making things new. I'm not breaking things apart to leave you alone. I'm sifting things so you don't get pulled down by tangled relationships. Sometimes the absence of certain people is the exact answer I'm sending you, even if the word loss feels painful. I know this hurts. I know you value loyalty deeply and don't easily walk away from relationships. You sit and remember the good memories, the comfort, the storms you walked through together, holding hands. You wonder, does God want me to be ungrateful? I hear every one of those thoughts, but gratitude is one thing, and giving someone power to steer your future is another thing entirely. You can be thankful for what someone did for you without handing them the keys to your life. I alone hold your destiny. If I see that someone's presence in this new season would pull your blessing off course, I'll gently guide them elsewhere too, because I have a plan for them as well. As for you, I want your path to stay straight. You'll notice that the people who stay close during this transition aren't dazzled by your success, aren't jealous of your calling, aren't shaken by rumors. They don't need to know every little detail, yet they still kneel and pray for you. They don't need credit for your achievements, yet they're genuinely happy when you move forward. I'm gathering people like that and placing them closer to you right now. If you only focus on the hands letting go of you, you'll miss the hands I've just placed right beside you. Every time I take something away, I'm also adding something new. But your eyes only see the empty space, so you assume it's all loss. What I'm doing in your life right now is a deep spiritual cleansing. I'm not only cleaning up your outside environment, but washing away old habits in the way you build relationships. I don't want you connecting with people out of fear of loneliness, insecurity, or a need to feel validated. I want the people allowed close to you to be people I've already touched myself, hearts willing to walk through fire with me, not people simply drawn in by your success story. Otherwise, eventually, those very relationships become the channel through which your blessing leaks away, and my name gets dishonored in the process. You might say, but I don't want to hurt anyone. You feel restless, wanting to explain yourself to everyone. Hold on to every tie, keep everybody happy. I understand your tender heart, but don't let your need to please others rank higher than my word to you. When I close a door, don't try reopening it with long explanations. When I remove someone from your inner circle, don't pull them back just because guilt creeps in. If you keep doing that, you'll stay stuck spinning in your own emotions, and the blessing I've prepared for you will keep getting delayed. Grace isn't about bending over backward to please everyone. Grace is the strength to obey me, even when others don't understand why. Learn to place your hand over your heart and say, "My heart belongs to the Lord," because that's exactly where the fiercest battle is happening right now. Your heart is the home I long to live in, but the enemy desperately wants that same space too. It won't knock with anything obviously ugly. It'll come dressed up in thoughts that sound perfectly reasonable. Don't be so extreme. Everyone deserves consideration. Just keep them around. You owe them something. What if you misunderstood them? These thoughts make you question the gentle nudges the Holy Spirit places inside you, leaving you confused about whose voice to trust. In those moments, come back to the quiet place. Don't argue it out with the crowd. Don't ask advice from people who don't have a prayer life of their own. Let me be the very last voice you check in with, and the one you ultimately choose to obey. Remember, you're not stepping into this inheritance like a hired worker earning a paycheck. You're stepping in as a child trusted with a portion of something precious, something I treasure deeply, inviting you to manage, grow, and care for it together with me. A true heir doesn't live by personal whims, but with the awareness that this belongs to the Father and has simply been entrusted into their hands for a while. When you see things this way, it becomes much easier to release anything that doesn't help protect what we share. If a relationship, a habit, or an old promise threatens to steal glory away from me, you'll have the courage to cut it off, because you'll know you're no longer living for your small self, but for something far bigger than you. Hold this tightly in your heart. Every time I let something leave your hands, it's not to leave you empty, but to make space for something greater, purer, and truer. Every time you feel stripped of something, ask instead, "Father, are you making room for something new?" I don't play punishment games with you. I'm preparing a place. It might look like loss through your eyes, but through mine, it's a necessary adjustment before the blessing pours out. So don't fight the spiritual adjustments happening around you. Don't rush to stitch back together what I'm gently untying. Don't grip onto the way things used to be, just to spare yourself a little pain. The pain you're feeling now is the labor pain of a new birth, not the sting of a fatal wound. I'm clearing the path so that when you step into the inheritance already set aside for you, old tangled threads won't drag you backward. You are being prepared to live as a mature heir, someone who knows how to guard, discern, and choose me over comfort every single time. There will come a day when you look back and see clearly that everyone who stayed beside you was a gift, and everyone who left no matter how painful, was part of my plan to protect you. You'll be thankful for both, and your heart will no longer feel chained to either side. In that very freedom, you'll realize this inheritance isn't some distant idea anymore. It's your everyday life, walking, standing, deciding, loving, letting go, all under my watchful eyes. And then you'll fully understand what I whispered to you from the beginning. I chose you, not so blessing would swallow you, but so you could rule alongside me over the blessing. You weren't born to be controlled by what's given to you. You were born to join me in using those very gifts to lift many others out of the same place you once stood in. You yourself are living proof that grace can pick up a wounded person, walk them through fire, cut away the excess, and then place in their hands a portion of inheritance that nothing in hell can destroy, as long as they keep their heart in their Father's hand. If these messages have brought peace to your heart, strengthened your faith, or reminded you of God's love, please consider supporting this ministry through PayPal links below. Together, we can continue sharing hope and God's word with countless souls around the world. My child, quiet your soul for a moment and hear this whisper. What's coming over your life isn't just a few small changes here and there. It's a deep, root-level shift. The inheritance I'm preparing for you is bigger than anything you've ever dared imagine for yourself. It will touch not just your finances, but the way you see yourself, the way your family operates, even the way people speak your name. I'm arranging a brand new season where the very things that once shamed you will be turned into testimony. Rooms in your home, once heavy with worry, will get a fresh atmosphere breathed into them. Conversations once filled with complaints will fill up with hope instead. The way you think and respond and choose will slowly be made new. As I pour this inheritance over you, your mind will stop being a battlefield of confusion. I'm slowly stepping into your old patterns of thinking, replacing them with understanding that flows from my own spirit. You'll begin thinking less like someone constantly bracing for loss, and more like someone who knows they have a Father in heaven watching over them. You'll stop asking, "Am I even worthy of this?" and start asking instead, "Father, how do I use this in a way that honors your will?" That shift in your thinking is actually the deepest part of this whole inheritance. Because once your mind is renewed, you'll know exactly how to walk in blessing without being swallowed up by it. What I'm telling you isn't meant for a quick moment of comfort. It's meant to settle a new identity deep into your thinking. The truth that you're not an outsider, not an extra. You are a true heir in your Father's house. Your name, once spoken with disappointment, tied to stories of failure, I will slowly turn into a reminder of grace instead. I'm not promising people will suddenly like you, but I promise the story attached to your name will be different. When people talk about you, they won't only remember your stumbles. They'll have to witness how I lifted you back up. Your life will become like a letter I'm writing, one line at a time, one chapter at a time, until eventually, anyone reading it has to admit, only God could have written a story like this. I don't erase your past. I use it as the fabric I embroider new threads of glory and restoration onto. If, while hearing these words, your heart trembles, like something is gently burning inside your chest, that isn't just an emotion passing through. That's the Holy Spirit touching a place inside you that you thought had gone completely cold. You're not imagining this, and you're not making it up. I'm breathing a brand new spark into your soul, a spark of faith that your life is far from finished, that what I intend to build is greater than anything you've already lost. When that little flame starts to grow, I invite you to respond with more than just a nice feeling. Press that like button right now as a tiny, sincere declaration before heaven that says, I agree with what my Father is speaking. I receive the inheritance He has promised, and I'm placing myself on the side of that promise. I don't need likes to feel important, but you need a small, concrete action to mark this decision inside your own heart. When your finger taps that screen, it's not just an empty gesture. It's a quiet, meaningful response that says, I'm standing with what my Father is doing in my life. A tiny movement in this visible world can carry a clear message in the spiritual world too. Don't do it out of habit, and don't do it just because people often say to like and subscribe. I'm not asking you to please an algorithm. I'm asking you to do it as a small but sincere act of faith, like signing your own name onto a covenant. Just like long ago, my people marked their doorposts with blood to declare, this house belongs to the Lord. Today, this tiny action is your way of whispering up to heaven. This life belongs to you. This coming season belongs to you. And the inheritance I'm about to receive belongs to you too. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications too, so you don't miss what comes next on this journey. When you do this with full awareness, your heart gets repositioned. You stop being a bystander just listening to a nice story, and you become a participant in the story itself. I hear your heart asking, what could possibly be so serious about a single tap? I smile, because I don't look at the tool. I look at the attitude behind it. I see the heart underneath the action. To other people, it's just an icon on a screen. To me, it's the very first spiritual footprint you take into a brand new season. Every time you agree with my word, even in something small, you lay down another stone on the road leading toward your inheritance. Whenever you do something simply out of love and trust for me, no matter how tiny, it echoes through heaven. Don't ever look down on small things, because I love using the small and humble to swing open the biggest doors. When you respond in faith, all of heaven moves, not because I lack power and need your help, but because I honor your free choice. I won't force blessings onto you that you don't want to receive. I knock, but you have to open the door. I invite, but you have to answer back. Every single, yes, I believe, sends a strong signal echoing through the spiritual world, letting the angels know you've taken your place and you're ready. The enemy notices it too, and it knows it's no longer so easy to push you down, because now you're standing on a different, tested foundation. Think back on all the times the enemy tried to crush you. It used the words of acquaintances, family, even people you thought were friends, aiming straight for the softest place in your heart. It attacked your body with exhaustion and sickness, trying to make you doubt my love. It wore down your emotions until you felt drained and tired of living, sometimes even wishing you could just disappear. It whispered, why keep praying? Everything's already ruined. It pushed you into corners where all you could see were walls, hoping you'd believe your future was a dead end. It twisted every angle and switched up every tactic, all just to get you to stop, give up, and walk away. And yet, here you are, still standing. Even when you walked unbearably slow, even when all you could do was drag yourself one step at a time, even on nights with no words left to pray, except a quiet sigh, you still didn't turn your back on me. You still opened your heart to listen. You still found just enough strength to seek out my words. You still quietly hoped, even when you were too scared to say it out loud. To others, that might look small, but to me, you've won far more victories than you even realize. You've fought battles only you and I will ever know about. Every time you chose not to return to old habits, not to quit halfway, not to deny me in your heart, in all those quiet moments, you were planting seeds for your own inheritance. It's exactly because you didn't stop that now you're very close. Closer than your feelings are telling you right now. You feel like you have a long way to go, but in the spiritual world, You've already traveled further than you ever thought possible. The enemy wants you to believe your efforts were wasted. But I tell you, not one of your tears fell without meaning. Not a single day you tried to stand firm when unnoticed by me. Not one whisper of, "Lord, I still trust you," failed to touch my heart. The inheritance coming your way isn't arriving because you're perfect. It's arriving because you held on to me with everything you had, even in your weakness and clumsiness. Listen carefully. Those who don't give up will see results. Those who keep walking, even slowly, will reach the destination. Those who hold on to faith, even faith as small as a tiny seed, will eventually receive its fruit. This isn't an empty saying. This is the law of my kingdom, established from the very beginning. You reap exactly what you plant. You've planted days and months of trusting me, so you will reap a season of blessing. You've planted long, sleepless nights while still holding on to my hand, so you will reap fresh mornings with doors open wide before you. Today I speak to you with the authority of the one who started everything and will also finish everything. What I've ordained for you, no person, no situation, no power of darkness can stop. They might say cruel things about you, but they can't cancel the promises I've already spoken over your life. They might shut a few doors in front of you, but I can open others they don't even know exist. Circumstances may slow your steps, but they cannot change my mind. When I release something in the spiritual world, it always finds the exact person, at the exact time, in exactly the way I intended. The only thing that can make you miss it is if you give up, turn away, and step yourself out of that flow. So my child, guard your heart. Stand on my word like someone standing on solid rock. You've come further than you realize, and the inheritance is closer than you imagine. Let that small action you take today, believing, responding, stepping forward, become a quiet declaration inside you. I will not turn back anymore. I will walk with you all the way to the end. And when you choose this, I'll handle the rest. I'll protect you, guide you, correct you, and hold you up. So the blessing never becomes a chain, but becomes living proof that your God always keeps his word. Even with everything I've warned you about the danger of blessing, when a heart stops staying tender, I also want you to know something very important. You are not left alone in the middle of people scheming, jealousy, or plots. Even if there are people sitting together right now, trying to figure out how to bring you down, even if tongues are quietly weaving stories to stain your name, even if hostile eyes are waiting for the day you stumble, none of it can cross the boundary I've drawn around you. They might plot and plan and coordinate to make you hesitate, but they cannot destroy what I've already sealed over your life, as long as you stay hidden under the shadow of my wings. Remember, you're not just a name on some list to me. You're like the very center of my eye. Whoever dares reach out to touch you is touching something extremely precious to me. I don't promise you'll never feel pain, but I do promise every impact only happens within boundaries I allow, and no arrow can pierce through the shield of protection I'm holding over you. Just like quiet rivers flowing through dry, barren fields, carrying life and richness to the soil, my blessing doesn't show up loud and flashy. It comes as a steady, patient, deep current. I don't bless you only for your own enjoyment. I want my presence to overflow from your life into your family, your children, your marriage, your work, and even generations not yet born. I want your home to become like land touched by gentle rain, where seeds once thought dead suddenly spring back to life. I want to see in your family not just plenty of provision, but real laughter, forgiveness, and a peace that outside storms can't touch. I want you to taste a kind of success the world can't even define. Success without losing your soul. Having a lot while still keeping a simple, humble heart, standing at many crossroads and still choosing me, as your main direction. But for any of this to become real, my child, there's one thing you can't overlook. You have to learn to trust the plan my own hand drew for you. Your life isn't a string of random events, and it certainly isn't a game of chance. Before you ever showed up in this world, I already knew your whole journey. Every stumble, every wrong turn, every day you'd feel too tired to take another step. I'm never surprised by anything you decide. I simply wait patiently for you to come back, so we can fix the missteps together, mend broken pieces, and keep walking in the right direction. But you can only experience this once you decide to place your heart in my hands. Instead of trying to control everything yourself with worry and overthinking, I see two opposite pulls happening inside you. On one side is my call, inviting you to rest safely in your Father's arms. On the other is the voice of fear, constantly pushing you to protect yourself, hold tightly, and avoid losing anything. Whenever you stand at a crossroads, I gently whisper, "Will you dare to trust me?" Trusting me doesn't mean closing your eyes and stepping at random, hoping things just work out. Trusting me means choosing to obey my word, even before you see the result. Trusting me means being willing to lose a few short-term benefits just to keep your heart whole before me. Trusting me means walking a road few people choose, even when others look at you and don't understand. It's exactly this kind of trust that becomes the key. Unlocking treasures I've already stored up for you in the spiritual world, just waiting for the right time to be poured out. Every video is created with prayer, time, and dedication to reach those who may be searching for encouragement and faith. By supporting this ministry through PayPal, you help keep this mission growing and touching more lives each day. God bless you abundantly. My dear child, when you let me hold your hand, I don't only walk you down smooth, easy paths. I'll walk with you through rough roads too, through dark skies, through loud, fearful voices roaring all around. I'm not the kind of father who only shows up for formal moments and then vanishes through the hard, tearful nights. I'm the father who shows up in every tiny detail others think is too small to matter. I notice the silent sighs you never dare share with anyone. I know every time you pretend you're fine while feeling empty inside. I don't promise to clear every obstacle from your path, but I promise to stand right in the middle of every storm to shield you, so nothing will ever be strong enough to tear you out of my heart. There's no hardship I can't turn into something useful for shaping you. There's no dead end I can't open a new way through. Imagine your life as a long road, with bright stretches and dark stretches, with twists you can't predict. If you insist on walking it alone, you'll trip over stones I would have seen coming. You'll wander into detours, running in circles through confusion and disappointment. But if you let me walk beside you, I'll show you when to stop, when to move quickly, when to stay quiet, and when you need to speak up clearly. The wisdom I give you isn't a handful of small tips just to get by. It's a light that reorients your whole life, so wherever you go and whatever you do, you never lose sight of me. On days when everything feels foggy and uncertain, remember this: you don't need to see the whole road ahead. You only need to walk in the light shining on your next step today. I invite you to do something the world calls weakness, to lay your worries down and let them slip out of your hands. To me, this isn't giving up. It's an act of faith. Every time you decide to set a burden down, you're telling me, "I believe, Father, that you can handle this better than I can." I never take those words lightly. I treasure them like a precious gift. Picture every anxiety, every fear, every haunting thought as heavy stones tied onto your coat. The tighter you clutch them, the harder it becomes to even lift your head. But as you quietly place each stone into my hands, that coat on your shoulders grows lighter, and at the exact same moment, I clothe you with something else, an invisible blanket of peace that guards your mind from the poisonous winds of doubt and despair. Engrave this in your heart too. The words I speak about peace, provision, and your future aren't just nice phrases to decorate a wall or feel good for a moment. They're living words, a promise sealed by my own faithfulness. The success I speak of isn't measured in numbers, positions, or applause, but in a life running on the right course, feeling complete in me. Whether it looks small or big to the world, the abundance I want to give isn't only about a bank account, but about being able to give generously and joyfully. The peace I promise isn't a life with no problems, but a heart that stays steady even when trouble comes knocking. These gifts I've prepared aren't waiting for you to become worthy enough. They're waiting for you to simply return to a place of trust. My child, guard the flame of faith in your heart the way someone protects a small lamp on a windy night. Don't let it blow out just because of a few sudden gusts of circumstance. Your faith doesn't need to be flashy. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove itself to anyone. It only needs to be real. As long as you can still whisper, "I still believe," even though I haven't seen it yet, that's enough for me to keep working. I'm committed to you, not just in one area, but in every single part of your life, from the things people call sacred to the most ordinary, everyday matters. There's no corner of your life I say, "Handle that one yourself." I want to be present in your joys and your sorrows, your wins and your failures, so that through all of it, my imprint shows in how you live, how you respond, and how you rise back up after every fall. The love I have for you goes beyond anything your mind could ever fully measure. You've probably heard, "God loves you," so many times it almost sounds ordinary now. But I want you to pause and look deeper. If I didn't hold back my own son, the most precious thing I had, what would I ever hold back from you? If it truly helps draw you closer to me, I never intended for you to stand alone in life's battles. Sometimes you feel like I'm silent, but silence never means I'm absent. Sometimes you can't feel my closeness, but your feelings are never the true measure of my presence. I'm present through my promises, through the covenant I've made with you, through every single time I've pulled you out of a deep pit, even when you can't quite explain how you survived. So my child, choose to trust, not blind trust based on feelings or circumstances, but real trust in me, myself, the one who has walked with you since your very first day, and will be with you until your final breath. When you place the steering wheel of your life into my hands, you'll start seeing my promises shine through in the hidden corners of your days. Work that felt completely stuck will suddenly open up. Relationships that felt shattered will be restored. A heart that felt hardened will suddenly be able to cry because it's finally been touched. The inheritance I've prepared for you isn't a distant dream. It's a real piece of grace with your name already written on it. I'm only waiting for the day you trust deeply enough, grow quiet enough, and soften your heart enough to receive it fully. And once you're standing inside that blessing, you won't be afraid it will destroy you, because you'll know you're no longer clinging to the blessing itself, but to me, the source of every good thing. My child, what I'm about to place in your hands isn't a sharp blade meant to shred your life apart, nor a heavy hammer meant to crush your soul. The inheritance drawing near doesn't come to grind you down. It comes to lift you up after years where you thought you'd lost everything for good. It comes like a warm hand pulling you out of the mud of shame, gently wiping away tears you never had time to dry, lifting your chin so you can finally look at yourself through my eyes again. I'm using this blessing like a new garment to wrap around you, not for show, but to cover the torn places left by seasons of being despised, misunderstood, and pushed to the margins. It carries within it the restoration of the dignity, you thought was buried forever, the healing of deep places you were afraid to even name, and the vindication of every story where you chose silence over arguing. I'm not lifting you up just so people are convinced about you. I'm lifting you up so both you and they will be amazed by my kindness. When you enter that season, plenty of eyes will turn toward you in surprise. Some will keep their distance, unable to understand why your path shifted so quickly, why doors that once seemed permanently shut are now wide open, why someone once overlooked is suddenly honored. People will talk. They'll guess. They'll try to explain it away with talent, connections, or luck. But only you and I will know that the real turning point didn't happen in a phone call or a contract or some chance meeting. It happened the moment you knelt before me, let go of what I asked you to release, and stayed in a place others looked down on. You'll remember clearly the day these words touched your heart, no matter how many years pass, because this is the day I marked you. I am here. I am speaking. I am turning the direction of your story. I've held your hand through the darkest stretches, so the glory ahead isn't some flashy comeback you made happen on your own. It's proof that I never abandon anything I begin. This inheritance isn't just a sum of money to ease worries about bills, a title to make you respected, or a few doors of influence so you can have a voice. All of that might be included in the package, but the true value runs much deeper. It's tied to the promises I've already spoken, carrying the breath of the covenant sealed through the cross. Every blessing isn't just a random good thing. It's like a document stamped by my own throne, a royal seal declaring, "This person belongs to me. This life is in my hands. This story isn't written by human will, but ordained from heaven." When the inheritance reaches you, it carries the weight of my truth and my faithfulness, far more than anything society calls success. You once came to me only asking for enough food, asking simply not to be in need. You often asked for just the basics, not even daring to imagine more. But I'm not someone who throws you a temporary piece of bread and leaves you to figure out the rest yourself. When you ask for provision, I'm not just arranging things so you barely make it through the month. I'm rebuilding the entire picture of your life. I don't just want to give you a stable paycheck. I want to give you real meaning to live for. I want you waking up each morning knowing exactly why you exist, who you're living for, and which Lord you belong to. You think you're asking, "Lord, just let me survive," while I'm answering, "I want you to live with purpose." You've sat alone many times asking why relationships fell apart, why your family feels fractured, why the people you trusted most have hurt you the deepest. You hope for a clear, reasonable answer. But while you only want an answer for your mind, I'm preparing a healing for your entire soul. I don't just want to settle who was right and who was wrong. I want to mend what's broken, reconciling you with yourself, with your family, with your past, and most of all, with me. Some relationships won't restore the way you hoped, but your soul will be stitched together in ways you never imagined. Some apologies you'll never receive, but I'll make up for it with something nothing can ever steal. You've cried out, "Please get me out of this situation, this lack, this pressure." You thought a simple way out would be enough, but I rarely stop at enough. When I rescue someone, I usually go far beyond what they expected. When I pull you up from the pit, I don't just put you back at the edge of the cliff. I bring you to a wider, safer place, so you don't just escape, but can also help lift others out too, in the very place where you once only wished to be free from lack. I've planned for you to step into a season of abundance, not abundance for pointless spending, but abundance for sharing, building, supporting, and caring for people going through what you once went through. And every tear you thought was wasted, I've quietly gathered up and decided to multiply. because of your faithfulness through it all. My child, once you understand this inheritance is part of a much bigger plan, you'll look at blessing completely differently. You won't see it as proof of your own effort, but as a testimony of mercy. You won't use it to lift yourself up, but to bow down and serve others. You'll stop asking, "How do I keep this blessing?" and start asking, "How do I place this blessing rightly within God's will?" Then you won't be controlled by the blessing anymore. You'll become a wise caretaker, knowing everything is only loaned to your hands for a season, while the purpose and ownership remain entirely mine. I also want you to know that some people will refuse to accept your change. They've grown used to seeing you as someone who fails, a hopeless dreamer, someone with faith but no realistic plan. When I lift you up, they'll feel uneasy, confused, maybe even suspicious. Some will say you just got lucky. Some will say you've become too practical. Some will dig up your old mistakes, just to deny what's happening now. Don't let your heart get tangled up over any of this. I don't give you an inheritance so you can spend your days explaining yourself to everyone. I act so that my name gets revealed, and those who truly seek me will recognize this as a story of grace, not self-promotion. Right in the days when blessings start pouring down, engrave this truth in your heart. I am the one who has walked with you since the very first day, when you were clumsy, immature, hurt, and weak. I was present in every stumble, in every moment you thought I had given up on you. If today you're standing somewhere bigger and brighter, it's not because you suddenly became extraordinary. It's proof that I never let go of your hand. That awareness alone will keep your heart soft in the middle of honor. It will stop you from turning your inheritance into a stage to stand on, and instead turn it into a bridge that leads others closer to me. Let me remind you plainly once more. When I decreed an inheritance over your life, it was sealed with the blood of my only son, not a temporary favor given just because you pleased me for a while. What I give you cannot be snatched away, not by jealousy, not by gossip, not by another stormy season. What I have sealed over your life no one can undo, except you yourself. If you choose to step outside my plan, that's exactly why I keep calling you, gently but firmly. Stay close to me, like a branch stays attached to its vine. When you remain in me, you walk the path of miracles, not flashy, showy miracles, but the everyday miracle of a life being transformed, one small day at a time. From this inheritance, I'll write new chapters too, not just for you. I want to use your blessing to wipe away the tears of people who once stood exactly where you're standing now, to turn your story into hope for souls who believe their lives are too far gone to be saved. You'll look back over the long years of pain and realize not one moment was wasted. Not one wound was meaningless. Every hurt, every loss, every moment you thought you were falling apart has become material for a beautiful masterpiece I'm painting through your life. And when you use this inheritance, not to build yourself a proud little fortress, but to open doors and invite others into healing too, then the blessing has finally reached its true purpose. A single act of kindness can help God's message reach someone who needs hope today. If you feel blessed by this channel, you can stand with us through the PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for helping us spread God's love one soul at a time. My beloved child, I know these words probably make you feel both happy and a little nervous at the same time. Happy, because you finally hear that real blessing is on its way. Nervous, because I'm reminding you to be careful while walking through it. But don't be afraid. I'm not saying all this to make you anxious. I'm saying it so you live wide awake. I'll never give you a weight too heavy to carry, and I won't toss you into prosperity before your heart has learned to lean on me. Everything I do follows a rhythm, a process, with protection built right into it. You only need to take one obedient step at a time. I'll handle showing you the way. This inheritance, if placed rightly inside your heart, won't damage your spiritual life. It will make it flourish even more. It will lift you up without lifting you out of my hand. It will make people see you differently, while making you feel your need for me even more deeply than before. And both you and everyone watching will have to say, this isn't the result of human effort alone. This is the work of the Lord. My child, look at yourself for a moment through heaven's eyes, not through anyone else's old opinions. The children of my kingdom were never meant to live off scraps that fall from someone else's table, scrambling for little crumbs of favor from human hands. Those called heirs don't live off pity. They live off the abundance of their Father. You were born to walk through this life, knowing you have a seat at my table, not a spot underneath it. You don't have to wait around for someone else to hand you an opportunity. You can step into doors I myself have already set in place, doors that no power can shut once I've opened them. You're not dependent on just one source of provision, because I can pour from places your mind could never even imagine. You'll be sustained by things that seem like coincidence, but are actually my quiet arrangements behind the scenes. You'll be lifted by good words you never expected, because my spirit nudged someone else to encourage you. I do this not because you're perfect, but because I love hearts that keep choosing faithfulness, refusing to run away even through the coldest, darkest stretches of road. The enemy sees all this and grows bitter. It can't erase your name from my hand, so it tries every trick to get you to let go yourself. It doesn't always attack with obvious blows. It often uses things that feel gentle and reasonable. It sends smiling faces and pleasant sounding voices that hide blades aimed right at your faith. It uses just enough flattery to lower your guard, then quietly plants seeds of self-doubt about my word. It stirs up shameful memories you thought were long buried, then whispers that you don't deserve any of what I promised. It replays your failures and whispers, "See, you're still just this." It doesn't need to drag you into big, obvious sins. It just needs you to shrink back and devalue yourself enough that you refuse the inheritance that already belongs to you. But here's what it never expected. My dear one, through all of it, I was never just watching from a distance. I was covering you in the exact moments you couldn't feel me at all. I used the days you thought were completely off heaven's radar to grow your faith's roots deeper. When you couldn't even lift your head, I laid my hand on you anyway. When you thought, I don't think I can keep going, I whispered, it's all right. As long as even one thread of trust in me is left in you, I'll handle the rest. I hid you under my wing, even while you felt exposed under harsh, judging eyes. I blocked attacks you never even knew were coming. I scattered schemes against you that never reached you on earth, simply because in heaven I had already declared, this child belongs to me. You've had days when your legs felt exhausted, your heart worn thin, and your mind in chaos. You've thought, I wish I'd never been born. I wish I could just disappear. I heard every one of those whispers. I watched the nights you lay there, eyes wide open, with no tears left to fall, no strength for long prayers, just quiet sighs that couldn't even form into words. You thought that was failure, but I saw it as the roughest, most honest song you ever sang me, because even shattered, you still couldn't fully let go of me. You still mumbled, Lord, I don't understand, but I still need you. You were weak, yes, but you refused to let go of my hand. You trembled, yes, but you didn't turn and run away. And in those small moments where you rose up half-heartedly, lifted weak hands, and could only manage to say, I worship you anyway, heaven wasn't nearly as silent as you imagined. It's exactly in those tiny, seemingly insignificant moments that all of heaven stirs into motion. Not when you shout loudly, not when you do something impressive, but when you choose to believe, even with no reason left to believe. That's the moment the spiritual battlefield changes color. It's not the loud moments that move my angels into action. It's the quiet, unseen choice to stay connected to me, even when nobody's watching. The inheritance I have for you was never a recent idea, and I never waited to see if you'd turn out okay before bothering to plan it. Your life didn't begin the day you became aware of yourself. It began in my thoughts, even before your body was knit together. I wrote the first lines of your destiny long before you were born. I already knew every dead end you'd wander into, every wrong choice, every stumble, every compromise, every place you'd hurt yourself. I've seen even the dark chapters you're still too ashamed to talk about today. And through all of it, the map of your inheritance was never torn up. It was folded for a while. It was delayed. Some paths grew longer than they needed to be, but it has never once been erased. It's true that unwise decisions led you down detours, and certain unhealthy ties drained your strength and pulled you off course. It's true that sometimes you joined hands with things that weren't from me, leading you into dead ends I never intended for your feet. There were relationships you thought were blessings, but in reality were delicate nets, slowing every step you took toward what truly belonged to you. I saw those invisible threads, and little by little, I allowed certain situations to surface so they could be exposed. Every time you were betrayed, abandoned, or misunderstood by someone you trusted, you thought I was silent, but I was using those very collisions to snap the cords wrapping around your soul. You used to ask why I didn't let you receive the blessing earlier, back when you were still young, eager, and full of opportunity. You didn't realize that if I had placed this inheritance in your hands, while your soul was still in turmoil, while your eyes were still easily dazzled by flattery, it would have drowned you. Back then, you were swayed too easily by warm handshakes and tempting partnerships that sounded noble but hid selfish motives underneath. You believed too quickly that anyone who used my name must be trustworthy. You weren't seasoned enough yet to tell the difference between true light and light bouncing off a warped mirror. You would have shared sacred things meant to stay hidden, and too many wrong hands would have reached in to take what was made specifically for you. I love you too much to let that happen. That's why I let time become your teacher. Pain didn't come to destroy you. It came to grow you. Those long stretches of silence weren't me abandoning you. They were me teaching you to recognize my voice among 1,000 competing noises. Rejection became the bitter medicine that helped you stop depending so heavily on other people's opinions. Every time you felt pushed to the back, seemingly out of the race, I was actually pulling you closer to my own heart. In loneliness, you learned to know my voice, not by emotion, but by a quiet, steady certainty. In tears, you learned that not everyone standing beside you is meant to walk with you all the way to the end. In the breaking, you started loving truth more than smooth, pretty appearances. Now when you look deep inside yourself, you'll see you're not who you used to be. You're not so easily swept off your feet by exaggerated praise or invitations that sound spiritual but clash with the peace I give. You're starting to see the difference between people who come looking for favors and people who come ready to share the load. Your yes and your no aren't based on advantage anymore, but on the quiet whisper inside your heart. You can stand in front of things that used to overwhelm you without shaking like before. Pain thickened the tender skin inside you, not to make you cold, but to give you strength to protect what I'm about to entrust to you. Now I can finally tell you what I couldn't say before the time has drawn near. Not because you're perfect now. You never have been, and you never will be perfect by your own measuring stick, but you now bow your knees before me more easily than you bow your head to the world. You've learned to let go of certain people in order to keep my voice, rather than keeping a few people and trading away my presence. You've come to understand that this inheritance isn't a crown to boast about, but something you carry humbly in whatever role and circumstance I've placed you in. All of this tells me you've entered a brand new season inside yourself, which means a new season is about to open up on the outside too. But even as I say it's near, I still want you to keep the posture of a student, not an owner. Remember, what I'm about to give you is still only one piece of the bigger picture I'm painting. It's not the finish line. It's the starting point of an even deeper, wider stretch of journey ahead. This inheritance isn't only meant to make your life easier. It's meant to bless many other people through you. I've entrusted it to you because I've seen not just your need to receive, but your genuine desire to become a channel I can flow through. And when you keep your heart in that place, the blessing won't consume you. It will become living proof of my love, my protection, and my patience over a life that agreed to let me shape it all the way to the end. This ministry exists to bring encouragement, prayer, and God's truth to every heart that needs it. You can stand with us through PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. May God bless you abundantly for your love and support. My child, those waiting and scheming for your downfall, the ones whispering, plotting, and calculating ways to bring you down, have no idea that the very moment they think they're winning, I'm using their every move to lift you even higher. They think their bitter words will break you, but every arrow they shoot, I pick up, bend, and turn into proof that my hand still holds you. They think their plans to erase you will silence your voice, but the more they push you into darkness, the brighter you end up shining, because I am the one who makes light burst out in the night. The jealous imagine that blocking your path will stop you, but they don't realize I don't need the road they assume is necessary. I can open another path right where nobody expects one. When they rush to slam doors shut in front of you, I'm not bothered at all, because with a single word from me, a brand new door appears that nobody can lock. Remember, the inheritance I have for you is built on my word, not human words. I don't speak just to amuse you, and I don't promise things just to soothe a moment of sadness. Once I've spoken, heaven and earth move toward fulfilling it. I don't abandon things. I'm not like people who promise and then forget, who speak and then change their minds. I'm not the type to follow trends, showing up when excited and disappearing when bored. I am steady like a mountain, and my word is just as firm. Looking back over the years, haven't there been many times you thought everything was over, and yet I opened a brand new way? Haven't there been moments you thought, this time I won't make it through? And yet here you are, still breathing, still sitting, still hearing my voice. That alone should show you I haven't walked away from the work I'm building. You are a project I personally designed, and I won't hand you over for anyone to ruin. So even if storms lie ahead, even if the trials in front of you look bigger than your strength, I'm not worried. You see tall mountains. I see opportunities to show my power. You see big enemies. I see them as puffed up shadows meant only to scare you. You tremble while counting your own abilities, connections, and resources. But I look only at myself, the one who lacks nothing at all. You wonder how you could possibly win this battle, while I whisper, you're not fighting this battle alone. The battles ahead aren't stages for you to prove how capable you are. They're stages for me to reveal my own power. You don't need to strain yourself trying to impress anyone. You only need to stand still and let me fight for you. This inheritance won't stop with you. It's like a river flowing through generations. When I touch your life, I'm also touching your children. the little ones who don't even realize yet that they're living inside the reach of this same favor. You think you're fighting only for yourself, but really, you're breaking chains that have bound your family for generations: barriers, defeat, smallness, and shame. I want to shatter those so your descendants never have to repeat them. Invisible patterns repeated through your bloodline. I want to bring them to an end through your very life. This inheritance isn't just money, a house, or a title. It's a brand new history being written. You'll see dead things come back to life through me, cold relationships that seemed unfixable suddenly restored. I can pour love back into a marriage that feels like mere routine, rekindling gentleness, patience, and listening. Families who stopped praying together long ago, I can call them back to the family table to pray once more. The children in your home who saw you stumble and heard harsh words, I can use the very change in your own heart to show them that I'm real. The inheritance I give isn't only material things. It's also in the reconciliation I bring: parents who learn to say sorry, children who learn humility, siblings who learn how to forgive one another. I'm also touching the deep cuts in your heart, places where you stopped praying long ago, not because you stopped believing in me, but because you're afraid to hope again. You once prayed for someone to change, for a bad habit to break, for a door to open, and as the years passed with no visible sign, you tucked that prayer away in a locked drawer, telling yourself, maybe God doesn't intend to touch that area. You stopped mentioning it, stopped expecting, just to spare yourself the pain of seeing nothing change. But my child, my silence is never a full stop. Just because you see no movement doesn't mean I'm not working. Some surgeries take place very deep, very slowly, in layers human eyes can't see. In the same way, I'm quietly touching deep regions of your soul. And when the timing is right, the result will appear so wonderfully that even you will be amazed. The words that pierced you when you were small, words people threw out carelessly, in fun, in anger, that have stayed lodged inside you for decades. I haven't overlooked any of them. I know every single word, and I won't let those old sentences become the final verdict on your life. The inheritance I'm releasing isn't just giving you more things. It's replacing those old judgments with my brand new declaration. You are the one I love. You are not extra. You are not an accident. You are not a burden. I will use the very places where you were humiliated to honor you, in a way that makes people have to admit, only I could have done this. People may think they shaped your future with a few careless sentences, but I am the one who has the final word. You used to think inheritance was just financial breakthroughs, or a string of job and ministry opportunities. But the inheritance I give is whole and complete. It's the restoration of your self-respect, the ability to look in the mirror without shame, the freedom to be your true self in me. It's being able to walk into a crowded room without that old voice yanking you back, saying, I don't belong here. It's being able to receive a compliment without needing to exaggerate it or deny it, because you already know where your true value comes from. The blessing I give won't make you swell with pride, and it won't make you shrink back either. It will help you stand tall while still bowing your head before me. This inheritance isn't a quick patch slapped over a tear. It's an entirely new garment, tailor, made for the stature I always intended for you. I don't put a small bandage over an infected wound. I want to wash it and heal it from the very root. I don't just want you to hurt less. I want you fully well. I don't just want you to survive. I want you to truly live. So the blessing I give comes with inner transformation too. You won't only receive things to use. You'll receive the kind of heart strong enough to carry them well. And pay close attention to this. What I'm pouring out over you isn't leftover crumbs from someone else's table. You don't live off scraps. You don't eat what others have refused. Your inheritance is yours alone, a portion marked in heaven with your very name on it. The flow I've prepared for you isn't a tiny stream that dries up under the sun. It's a deep source flowing straight from me, the one called the spring of living water. You don't have to run from place to place, chasing a few drops here and there. When you're connected to me, I can make a spring burst open even in your driest desert. When everything around you looks barren, you can still be made new, because your source doesn't come from your circumstances. It comes from me. The promises I make to you aren't hanging by a thread, waiting on chance. They're built on my very nature, faithful and unchanging. You change, others change, seasons change, but I never do. When I say I'll be with you, I don't add secret conditions later. When I say I have plans of peace for you, I don't pull back the moment you stumble. I correct you, I redirect you, but I never withdraw my promise. This inheritance isn't the kind that's here today and gone tomorrow. It's a steady process held firmly in my own hand, and even when your hand shakes, I never let go. You may ask, so what do I need to do through all of this? I say to you, simply this: remain in me. Don't wander away from the place I planted you in. Keep your heart soft, so that when the blessing comes, it doesn't harden your heart instead. Let me lead you one step at a time. Even when you start feeling wise enough on your own, let me call you back to the quiet place. Every time applause starts to go to your head, remember to look back and see how I've already walked with you, so you can trust I won't change in the future either. When you hold on to this truth, the inheritance will stop being a danger and instead become the road I use to bring you and everyone connected to you closer to my heart. And one day, you'll stand and look back over everything I've built in your life, and you'll finally understand those schemes against you were never the real story. They were only the backdrop that made my grace shine even brighter. The tears, the long nights, the harsh words people once spoke over you, all of it only deepened and made more real the story I was writing through your life. The inheritance you're stepping into now isn't meant to exalt you. It's meant to retell the story of a God who keeps his word, who never abandons, never breaks his promises, and always finishes what he starts. When this truth settles deep into your heart, you'll walk forward without trembling before blessing, and without fear of ever losing it, because you'll know the most precious thing you hold isn't what's in your hands, but the one holding your hand the whole way through. Now, with your heart quiet and open before me, let these words turn into your own whisper, speaking to your Father as the one who understands every single beat inside your heart. Almighty God, my loving Father, today I come to you, not just with my own needs, but with the quiet fear that if you pour out great blessing, my heart won't be strong enough to hold it well. Please guard my heart, even before you open new doors for me. Shape me to love you, the giver, more than any gift you could ever hand me. Help me seek your face above success, above reputation, above anything the world calls winning. Teach me to fear losing your presence far more than I fear losing money or opportunities. When people praise me, let my ears still listen closely for your voice. When doors open, let my knees bow even lower. Don't let blessing turn me proud or cold. Let it instead make me more humble, more aware that I'm only a caretaker, never the true owner. Let me live in such a way that whether I'm standing high or low, anyone who looks at me sees only one clear thing, that you, Lord, are still my everything. Heavenly Father, you see every hidden scheme in the darkness. I bring you my worries about people's looks, words, jealousy, and envy. There are things I've heard that hurt me, and things I haven't even heard, but somehow still feel, leaving me unsettled and doubting myself. Today I hand all those human shadows over to you. Let my heart stop obsessing over what people think of me, and instead anchor firmly to the truth of what you say about me. Remind me that whoever tries to harm me with evil intent is touching something precious that you yourself are guarding closely. Teach me to believe that no scheme can break the plan you've ordained, as long as I stay hidden in you. I don't ask you to remove every difficult person from around me, but I ask for a steady heart, one that doesn't get pulled into hatred, doesn't get ruled by fear, doesn't react out of anger, but simply stands still and watches your hand fight for me. Lord, thank you for being patient with me. Even on the many days I let my heart drift away from you. Thank you for not blessing me based on my own impatient timing, but according to your wiser timing instead. I know that if you had answered me right when I demanded it, I might have been crushed under things I wasn't mature enough yet to carry. Thank you for the doors you closed, even when I cried over them at the time, because now I can see they were actually grace in disguise. Thank you for the seasons I thought I'd been abandoned, when really you were hiding me from danger I couldn't even see. I know that without the times you held me back and slowed me down, I wouldn't be sitting here right now hearing your word. I offer back every delay, every detour, every time I felt pushed aside, as a small song of thanksgiving, because none of it was wasted. All of it was held safely in your hands. Loving Father, thank you for showing me the true face of blessing. Not something meant to pull me away from you, but something you used to reveal yourself through my life. Thank you for not hiding the quiet dangers of prosperity from me, but for speaking to me with both gentleness and seriousness. Thank you for letting me walk through both lack and abundance, so I could learn the value of leaning on you, no matter the circumstance. Thank you for never despising my small steps, even the times I trembled but still chose to obey. The times I turned down something that looked good simply because it didn't carry your mark. You saw and kept every single one of those moments. Thank you for caring not only about what I do for you, but about me, the tired, sometimes scared little child who still wants to love you with their whole heart. My child, come sit with me for a moment, because there is something else I want to show you, something deeper than what I've already told you. You have learned about being hidden, about letting go of people, about waiting, about being healed. But now I want to talk to you about something just as important: the weight of carrying something precious without breaking under it. Have you ever watched someone carry a newborn baby for the very first time? They hold their arms stiff, their breathing careful, their eyes locked on the tiny face, afraid that one wrong move might hurt the little one. That is exactly how I want you to carry this inheritance. Not with fear that paralyzes you, but with a tender carefulness that respects how precious it is. Many people lose their blessing not because they were attacked from the outside, but because they grew careless from the inside. They started carrying something holy, the way they would carry a bag of groceries, tossing it around without a second thought. My child, I am not giving you a sack of groceries. I am placing a newborn into your arms. Think about Hannah, the woman who wept bitterly year after year because she had no child. She poured out her soul before me in the temple, so broken that the priest thought she was drunk on wine. But she was drunk on longing, drunk on desperation, drunk on hope that refused to die. And when I finally answered her, when I finally placed Samuel into her arms, she did not clutch him forever for herself. She brought him back to me, gave him into my service, because she understood something most people never learn. The very thing you begged for the hardest is sometimes the very thing you must hold the loosest. That is a strange kind of math that only makes sense in my kingdom. The tighter your fist closes around a blessing out of fear of losing it, the more likely you are to crush it. The more openly you hold it, like an offering lifted up, rather than a treasure hidden under the bed, the safer it actually becomes. I want you to understand something about how I build people. I do not simply hand someone a finished house. I build the walls one at a time, brick by brick, often in the dark, often without any windows showing what's happening on the inside. There were stretches of your life that felt like nothing but bricklaying. No applause, no audience, no one even noticing that something was being built at all. You wondered if all that quiet effort was even doing anything. My child, every single brick mattered. Every quiet morning you chose to pray instead of complain. Every late evening you forgave instead of held a grudge. Every private decision you made when nobody was watching to vote for me instead of for your shortcuts. Those were bricks. And I have been building a structure inside you strong enough to hold the very thing I am about to give you. Think of Noah. For over 100 years, by some counts, he built something the sky had never required before, an ark for rain that hadn't fallen yet, for a flood nobody else believed was coming. Picture the years of mockery. Picture his neighbors walking past, laughing, asking why a grown man was hammering away on a giant boat under a clear blue sky. Noah didn't have the comfort of seeing the rain to confirm his work made sense. He only had my word, and he kept building anyway, plank after plank, nail after nail, season after season, with absolutely no visible proof that any of it would matter. My child, you have been building your own ark in ways you don't even fully realize, a life of integrity in private, faithfulness in small things, trust in long silences. The rain has not fallen yet on your situation, but I tell you the truth, it is coming, and when it comes, the very thing people mocked you for building will be the very thing that saves you and everyone you love. I also want to talk to you about Ruth, a woman who left everything familiar, her own country, her own people, her own gods, to follow a mother-in-law into a foreign land with absolutely no guarantee of provision. She walked into fields she did not own, picking up leftover grain just to survive, doing humble work that nobody applauded. She did not know that the very field she was gleaning in belonged to a man named Boaz, a man who would become her husband, a man through whose lineage kings and eventually the Messiah himself would be born. Ruth had no idea, while bent over picking up scraps of grain in the dirt, that she was standing in the exact field where her whole future was already waiting. My child, some of you are bent over right now in fields that feel small and humiliating, wondering if this is all your life will ever be. I tell you, you do not always get to see the size of the harvest while you are still in the picking up season. Stay in the field I have placed you in. Do not wander off looking for a more impressive field elsewhere. The very ground you are kneeling on, tired and unnoticed, might be the exact place I have already arranged your future to begin. There is something else I want you to know. Something about the difference between a blessing that is given and a blessing that is built. A given blessing arrives quickly and can disappear just as quickly because it was never tested by your character. A built blessing takes longer, costs more, asks more of you, but it lasts because it was forged inside the very fire that proved your heart could hold it. I am not interested in handing you something flashy that collapses the first time pressure touches it. I am interested in building something inside you that can carry weight for decades, that can be passed down to your children's children, something that does not crumble the moment a hard season arrives. Remember Job. Here was a man who had everything: family, wealth, health, respect, and in what felt like a single afternoon, all of it was stripped away. His children gone, his wealth gone, his health attacked. Even his own wife grew bitter toward him, and his closest friends, instead of comforting him, sat around accusing him of secret sins he never committed. Job sat in ashes, scraping his own skin, and still he said words that echo across thousands of years. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. My child, I am not telling you that you will lose everything like Job did. I am telling you that the foundation I am building in you is the kind that can survive even the worst case scenario. And if your faith can survive the worst, it will absolutely thrive in the best. By the end of his story, Job received double what he had before. Not because losing everything earned him a prize, but because his unwavering heart, in the middle of devastation, proved he was ready to carry abundance without it ruining him. I want to gently address something you may not have said out loud yet, but that has crossed your mind more than once: the fear that maybe you are not actually one of the chosen ones, that maybe this whole conversation about inheritance is meant for someone more spiritual, more disciplined, more impressive than you. My child, listen carefully. Moses stuttered when he spoke and tried to talk his way out of his own calling. Gideon called himself the least important person in his entire family. Jeremiah complained that he was too young to be taken seriously. Peter denied even knowing me 3 times in a single night, with curses in his mouth, and yet I built my entire church on him. None of these people were chosen because they were flawless specimens of confidence and skill. They were chosen because they were willing. Even in their trembling, even in their stuttering, even in their denial and shame, to come back. That is the actual qualification, not perfection, willingness to return. Let me also speak to you about timing in a way I haven't yet. There is a difference between a delayed promise and a denied promise, and the enemy desperately wants you to confuse the two. A denied promise simply does not exist. It was never spoken, never intended. A delayed promise absolutely exists, fully real, fully certain, but its arrival is being held for reasons you cannot see from where you stand. Think of the friends who carried the paralyzed man to me, so desperate to get him healed that they tore a hole in someone's roof just to lower him down in front of me. Imagine the weight that family endured, year after year, watching this man unable to walk, unable to work, unable to do anything but lie there. And then in one moment, after all those years, I said simply, "Rise, take up your mat, and walk." All that waiting compressed into a single sentence, a single moment, after which nothing was ever the same again. My child, your waiting is not wasted. It is the long, quiet stretch before the sentence that changes everything. A single act of kindness can help God's message reach someone who needs hope today. If you feel blessed by this channel, you can stand with us through the PayPal links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for helping us spread God's love, one soul at a time. I want you to also understand something about generosity, because so many people misunderstand what I am asking of them once blessing arrives. There is a poor widow I once watched put 2 small coins into the temple treasury, coins worth almost nothing compared to the large, showy donations of wealthy people around her. And yet I said that she had given more than all of them combined, because she gave out of her lack, while they gave only out of their excess, never feeling the cost of their gift at all. My child, when your inheritance comes, I am not just watching how much you give. I am watching whether giving still costs you something, whether it still requires faith, whether it still stretches your trust in me, even after you have plenty. The moment giving becomes effortless and meaningless to you, something has gone numb inside your heart that I will need to wake back up. There is also a story of a man named Naaman, a powerful military commander struck with a disease that no human doctor could cure. He traveled far, expecting an impressive ritual, dramatic words, something worthy of his rank and reputation. Instead, he was simply told to go wash 7 times in a muddy, unimpressive river. He nearly walked away offended, certain that something so plain and humble could not possibly hold the power to heal him. It was only when he humbled himself, when he set aside his pride and obeyed the simple instruction, that his skin was made new. My child, sometimes my instructions for releasing your inheritance will seem far too simple for the size of the blessing you're expecting. You may want fireworks, but I may ask you to simply forgive someone. You may want a dramatic breakthrough, but I may ask you to simply show up faithfully to something small and unnoticed. Do not let your pride convince you that simple obedience is beneath the size of what you're asking for. Naaman almost missed his healing because muddy water felt too ordinary for a man of his status. Don't let ordinary obedience feel too small for you either. I also want to speak about envy, not the envy others feel toward you, which I already addressed, but the envy you might feel toward others. There will be moments, even in this season of growing blessing, when you look sideways at someone else's harvest and feel a quiet ache that theirs seems bigger, faster, or easier than yours. This is a dangerous corner for your heart to walk into. Comparison has never once made anyone grow faster. It only steals joy from the season you're actually in. Remember the workers in the vineyard. Some hired at dawn, some hired at noon, some hired just an hour before sunset, and yet at the end of the day, the landowner paid every single one of them the exact same wage. The workers who had toiled since morning grumbled, feeling cheated, feeling that fairness had somehow been violated. But the landowner simply asked, "Did I not pay you exactly what we agreed? Is it wrong for me to be generous with what belongs to me?" My child, do not measure your harvest by glancing at someone else's field. I am not obligated to explain my generosity toward others to you. I am only asking you to trust my generosity toward you. There is another layer to all of this I have not yet shown you: the role of your own mouth in this entire journey. Words are not throwaway sounds in my kingdom. They carry weight, they plant seeds, and over time they grow into either fruit or weeds in your life. I once cursed a fig tree with nothing but a sentence, and it withered from the root by the next morning. Words matter that much in the spiritual realm. So I ask you, what have you been saying about your own life lately? Have you been speaking death over your dreams? Saying things like, "This will never happen for me. I always mess things up. Good things just don't come my way." Every time you speak these sentences, you are watering weeds instead of seeds. I am not asking you to pretend everything is perfect when it isn't, or to lie to yourself about your circumstances. I am asking you to speak my word over your situation even louder than you speak your fear. Instead of, "This will never happen," try, "I don't see it yet, but I trust the one who promised it." That small shift in language is not magic. It is alignment, lining your mouth up with my truth instead of your temporary feelings. I want to talk now about rest, because so many people, once they finally start moving toward their inheritance, forget how to stop. They become so afraid of losing momentum that they refuse to ever slow down, treating rest like laziness, treating stillness like wasted time. But remember, even I rested on the seventh day after creating the entire universe, not because I was tired, but because rest itself is holy, a rhythm built into the very fabric of how life is meant to be lived. If you chase this inheritance so hard that you sacrifice your sleep, your family, your peace, your joy, you will arrive at the blessing as an empty, exhausted shell of who you used to be. That is not the kind of arrival I want for you. I want you to walk into this new season rested enough to actually enjoy it, present enough to actually be there for the people you love, whole enough to actually feel the goodness, rather than just observe it from behind a wall of exhaustion. My child, I also want to tell you about Elijah, a powerful prophet who, after one of the greatest spiritual victories of his life, collapsed under a tree and asked me to let him die. He was utterly burned out, terrified and alone, convinced he was the only faithful person left on the whole earth. And what did I do? I did not lecture him about his lack of faith. I did not remind him of his recent victory and shame him for feeling weak so soon afterward. I sent an angel to let him sleep, and then to feed him, and then to let him sleep again before I ever spoke a single word of instruction to him. Sometimes, my child, what you need before the next assignment is not a sermon. It's a nap and a warm meal. I care about your body and your exhaustion just as much as I care about your spiritual growth. Because you are not just a soul floating around. You are a whole person, body, mind, and spirit, and I tend to all three. Now I want to gently turn your attention towards something uncomfortable, the role suffering plays even after blessing arrives, because so many believe that once the inheritance comes, all pain disappears forever. That is not true, and I would rather tell you the truth now than let you be shocked later. Paul, one of the most faithful servants I ever worked through, carried what he called a thorn in his flesh, something painful that never fully went away, despite his repeated pleading for it to be removed. And I told him simply that my grace was enough, that my strength shows up most clearly in the middle of human weakness, not in the absence of it. My child, even after this inheritance comes into your life, you may still carry a thorn, something that doesn't fully disappear, something that keeps you humble, keeps you dependent on me instead of on your own success. Do not interpret a lingering thorn as proof that the blessing failed. Sometimes the thorn is the very thing that keeps the blessing from turning into pride. Let me also speak about legacy in a way deeper than what I touched on before. When I think about your inheritance, I am not only thinking about the next 10 years of your life. I am thinking about the next 100 years across your family line. Abraham never got to see the full size of the nation that came from his obedience. He saw only a single son in his old age, a tiny beginning compared to what I had actually promised, a people as numerous as the stars in the sky. He died without seeing the fullness of what he had set into motion, and yet his obedience is still bearing fruit today, thousands of years later, in ways he could never have imagined while he was alive. My child, some of what I am building through, you will not be fully visible in your own lifetime. You are planting trees whose shade your grandchildren will sit under. That should not discourage you. It should humble you and excite you at the same time, because it means your life matters far beyond the years you get to personally witness. I want to also speak to the part of you that struggles with receiving compliments, opportunities, or good things without immediately deflecting them. So many people have been taught, whether by culture or by old wounds, that humility means refusing every good thing offered to them, shrinking away from praise, downplaying their own gifts. But true humility is not the refusal to receive good things. True humility is receiving good things while still remembering exactly where they came from. When someone hands you a compliment, you do not have to bounce it away nervously. You can simply say thank you, and inside your own heart, quietly redirect the glory to me. That is humility. Refusing every gift out of fear of seeming proud is not humility at all. It is often just another form of pride in disguise. The pride of thinking you have to manage everyone's perception of you, instead of simply walking in gratitude. There is one more thing I want to plant deeply in your heart before I let you rest tonight. The enemy's final trick, after it has failed to stop you with fear, jealousy, old wounds, impatience, and pride, is to try to convince you that you have arrived, that you have learned everything you need to learn, that you can finally stop depending on me so closely because you've made it. My child, there is no finish line on this side of eternity where you graduate out of needing me. The most mature believers I have ever worked through were the ones who depended on me more as they grew, not less. Do not let the comfort of this coming season convince you that closeness with me was only a tool to get you here, a ladder you can now kick away. The relationship was always the point. The inheritance was simply the proof that the relationship is real. My child, tonight I want to take you somewhere you may not expect, into a story you have heard 100 times, but perhaps never truly seen from the inside. A young man, the youngest of 2 sons, came to his father one day and asked for his share of the inheritance early, before it was time, before he had proven anything, before he understood the weight of what he was holding. And his father, knowing full well what would happen, still gave it to him. The son took that inheritance and walked away from everything familiar into a far country, and spent it all on things that felt good for a season, but left him completely empty. When the money ran out, so did his friends. He ended up feeding pigs, so hungry himself that the slop he was throwing to the animals started to look appetizing. My child, I tell you this story not to frighten you about misusing your inheritance, though that warning is real. I tell you this story because of what happened next. The son finally came to his senses and decided to go home, not expecting restoration, only hoping to be allowed to work as a servant, no longer a son, just a hired hand who might earn a little food and shelter. But while he was still a long way off, while he was still covered in the smell of the pigsty, still wearing rags, still rehearsing his apology in his head, his father saw him from a distance and ran. An old man in that culture, in that era, running undignified through the street, robes flapping, just to reach his son faster. He did not wait for the apology to be perfect. He did not make the boy grovel first. He wrapped his arms around him while he still smelled like the mess he had made of his life, and called for a robe, a ring, and a feast. My child, if you have ever wandered far from where I wanted you, if you have ever misused something I gave you, wasted a season, made choices you are ashamed of, I want you to know this story is for you too. I am not standing at a distance with my arms crossed, waiting for you to crawl back in perfect repentance before I will even look at you. I am already running toward you. The robe I want to put on you is not a reward for good behavior. It is a sign that you belong to me, mess and all. There was an older brother in that story too. The one who stayed home, did everything right, never wasted a cent, and yet grew bitter and resentful when his brother was celebrated instead of punished. My child, do not let yourself become that older brother, the one so focused on fairness that he refused to walk into his own father's joy. Whatever inheritance is being celebrated around you, even if it seems undeserved by someone else's standard, let it never make you stand outside the party with your arms crossed. Come inside. There is room for both the wanderer and the faithful one at my table. I want to also tell you about a woman who had been bleeding for 12 long years, a condition that not only drained her body, but made her ceremonially unclean, untouchable, cut off from worship, from community, from normal human contact. 12 years of doctors who could not help her. 12 years of money spent on cures that did nothing. 12 years of being pushed to the margins of her own town. And one day, hearing that I was passing through a crowded street, she did not push to the front to ask for a dramatic, public healing. She simply reached out, through the press of bodies, and touched the edge of my garment, hoping no one would even notice her. And in that single touch, power flowed out of me into her, and the bleeding stopped instantly, after 12 years, in one single moment. My child, some of you have been bleeding out, slowly, quietly, for years. A wound that never seems to close. A financial leak that never seems to stop. A relationship that drains you a little more every single day. You have tried every remedy you know how to try. You are tired of explaining your situation to people who cannot help you anyway. I tell you, you do not need a dramatic, loud, public miracle to receive your breakthrough. Sometimes all it takes is one quiet, desperate reach toward me, even from the very edge of the crowd, even when you feel unworthy to ask directly, even when all you can manage is touching the hem instead of grabbing my whole hand. I felt that woman's touch among hundreds of people pressing against me, because faith, even desperate and quiet faith, gets my attention every single time. There is also a story of 10 men, all suffering from a disease that isolated them completely from society, who came to me asking for mercy. I told them simply to go show themselves to the priests, and as they walked, obeying before they ever saw any visible change, all 10 were healed along the way. But only one of them, a foreigner, someone who technically had even less claim to my favor than the others, came back to say thank you. The other 9 kept walking toward their new lives, perhaps excited, perhaps distracted, perhaps simply assuming healing was now owed to them. My child, I want you to be the one who comes back, not because I demand gratitude as some kind of payment, but because the act of returning to say thank you is itself a doorway into even deeper relationship with me. The 9 were healed in their bodies. The one who returned was also made whole, something even greater than physical healing. Do not let the rush of your blessing carry you so far forward that you forget to turn around and say thank you to the one who gave it. I want to tell you about a short man named Zacchaeus, a tax collector despised by his entire community because of how he had built his wealth through unfair means, taking more from people than he should have. He was so desperate just to see me passing through town that he climbed a tree, undignified for a grown man of his social standing, simply to get a glimpse over the crowd. And instead of walking past him, I stopped, looked up into that tree, and invited myself to his house for dinner, an act that shocked everyone watching because no respectable person ate with someone like him. That single act of being seen, of being chosen despite his reputation, changed something deep inside Zacchaeus. Before the meal was even finished, he was promising to give back 4 times what he had wrongfully taken from people. Nobody forced him into that decision. Encountering genuine acceptance softened a heart that judgment and exclusion had only hardened for years. My child, if there are people in your life who everyone else has written off, do not assume my plans for them are finished just because their reputation is ruined. And if you yourself feel like Zacchaeus, climbed up in some tree of desperation, just hoping to catch a glimpse of something good happening to someone else, know this: I see you up there. I am not just passing by. I am stopping, and I am inviting myself into exactly where you are, regardless of what everyone else says about you. There is a story about seeds and soil that I told often, because it explains so much about why blessing takes root in some lives and not in others. A farmer scattered seed across different types of ground. Some fell on a hard path and never had a chance to sink in at all, picked off immediately by birds. Some fell on shallow, rocky soil, sprouted up quickly with excitement, but had no real root system, so the first hot sun scorched it dead. Some fell among thorns and grew for a while, but got slowly choked out by competing worries and the lure of wealth. But some fell on good, prepared soil and produced a harvest beyond anything reasonable, 30, 60, even 100 times what was planted. My child, the inheritance I have already spoken over you is the seed, but the soil of your own heart determines what actually grows from it. If your heart stays hard, distracted, never really letting my words sink past the surface, the enemy will snatch the promise away before it even has a chance to take root, the same way birds snatch up seed lying exposed on a hard path. If your heart gets excited quickly, but never develops any depth, any real root system built through quiet, ordinary faithfulness. The first real pressure that comes, financial trouble, a harsh rumor, a long delay, will wither what looked so promising at the start. If your heart stays tangled up in worry, in the constant chase for more, in anxious comparison with everyone else's harvest, the thorns of distraction will slowly choke out the very blessing I planted. But if you let me prepare the soil of your heart through all the seasons I've already walked you through, the silence, the letting go, the healing, the humility, then when the seed of inheritance finally takes root in you, it will not just barely survive. It will multiply far beyond what you originally planted. I also want to talk about two builders, one wise and one foolish, who both built houses that looked nearly identical from the outside. The wise one dug deep and laid his foundation on solid rock, work that was slow, invisible, expensive, and unimpressive while it was happening, because nobody walking by could see anything except a man digging a hole. The foolish one built quickly on sand, skipping the deep, hidden work, because building on visible ground was faster and looked just as finished from the street. When the storms came, rain pouring, rivers rising, winds beating against both houses, the one built on rock stood firm. The one built on sand collapsed completely. My child, everything I have been doing in you during these long seasons of waiting, hiding, releasing relationships, healing old wounds, has been the deep, unglamorous work of digging down to rock before building your house. It has felt slow. It has felt invisible. Other people may have built their visible houses faster than you, skipping the digging altogether. But when the storm comes for everyone, and it always eventually comes for everyone, you will be the one still standing, not because you were luckier, but because you let me dig deep with you before you ever started decorating the walls. There is also the story of a man named Lazarus, a dear friend of mine who died while I delayed my arrival on purpose, even though I could have reached him in time to prevent his death entirely. By the time I got there, he had already been in the tomb 4 days, long enough that even those who loved him most assumed there was nothing left to hope for. That decay had already taken over. His own sister gently scolded me, saying if I had only come sooner, he would not have died. And I wept, even knowing what I was about to do, because grief is real, and I do not rush past your pain, just because I already know the ending. Then I called Lazarus by name loudly, directly into that sealed tomb, and he walked out alive, still wrapped in burial cloths, breathing again after 4 days of being undeniably, completely dead. My child, there may be things in your life right now that feel as dead as Lazarus felt to everyone standing outside that tomb. A relationship, a dream, a finances situation, a piece of your own heart that you assumed had decayed beyond any possible recovery. I want you to know that my timing sometimes looks like delay specifically because I am waiting until the situation looks utterly impossible to human eyes, so that when the resurrection happens, no one can credit luck, timing, or coincidence. They will only be able to credit me. Do not assume something is too dead for me to call back to life. I have never once been intimidated by a closed tomb. I want to also speak to you about a woman named Esther, who found herself in a position of unexpected influence. A queen in a foreign land, never having asked for that platform, simply placed there through a series of events that, looking back, were clearly orchestrated far beyond mere chance. When a terrible plot arose to destroy her entire people, she was warned that she had not been positioned in that palace by accident, that perhaps the entire reason her path had unfolded exactly the way it did was for this very moment, this very decision, this very risk she now had to take. She had to choose between staying safely silent, protecting her own comfortable position, or risking everything to speak up for people who had no other advocate. My child, the platform, the favor, the influence I am building into your life through this inheritance is not simply for your own private enjoyment. There will come a moment, maybe one you cannot yet imagine, where the very position I have placed you in becomes the exact tool needed to protect, defend, or rescue someone who has no other advocate. When that moment comes, do not shrink back into safety. Remember that perhaps the entire reason your story unfolded exactly the way it did, all the waiting, all the hidden seasons, all the relationships I asked you to release, was so that you would be standing in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, for a purpose far bigger than your own comfort. There is a story of manna falling from the sky every single morning for an entire wandering generation. Bread they did not plant, did not harvest, did not even fully understand. But there was one strict rule attached to it: they could not hoard it. If they tried to save extra for the next day, hoarding out of fear that tomorrow's provision might not come, the leftover manna would spoil overnight, breeding worms, becoming useless. They had to trust me fresh every single morning for that day's bread alone. My child, some of you are trying to hoard blessing the way those wandering people tried to hoard manna, gripping tightly to today's provision out of fear that I might not show up again tomorrow. But provision held in fear instead of trust tends to spoil, whether that's money clutched so tightly it never gets used for anything good, or relationships gripped so desperately that they suffocate under the weight of your anxiety, or opportunities hoarded selfishly instead of shared generously. I am not asking you to be careless with what I give you. I am asking you to trust that the same hand that fed you yesterday will feed you again tomorrow, so you do not have to choke your blessing with the worms of fear and hoarding. I want to tell you about Jacob, a man who spent an entire night wrestling physically with an angel, refusing to let go even after his hip was wrenched out of its socket. Even after exhaustion should have forced him to surrender, he held on and demanded a blessing before he would release his grip, and by morning, he walked away limping for the rest of his life, but also carrying a brand new name and a brand new identity. My child, sometimes receiving your full inheritance involves a wrestling match, an exhausting, painful, all-night struggle where you refuse to let go, even when everything in your body says give up. You may walk away from that wrestling with a limp, some lasting mark from the struggle, a reminder of how hard you fought. But you will also walk away changed, renamed, no longer simply who you were before the fight began. Finally tonight, I want to remind you of a widow whose oil jar never seemed to run dry, as long as she kept pouring it out into empty containers her neighbors brought her. The miracle did not happen all at once in a single dramatic flash. It happened gradually, jar by jar, as long as she kept actively participating, kept finding more empty vessels to fill, kept pouring instead of just sitting and admiring the small amount of oil she already had. The moment she ran out of empty containers to pour into, the oil itself finally stopped flowing. Every video on this channel is created with love, faith, and dedication to sharing God's Word. If these messages inspire and encourage you, you can support our mission through PayPal, links in the description and pinned comment. Thank you for being part of this journey. My child, your inheritance will work much the same way. It is not a single jackpot moment that arrives once and then you simply coast for the rest of your life. It is a flow, sustained as long as you keep participating, keep pouring out into others, keep finding new empty vessels around you that need what I have given you. The moment you stop pouring, stop giving, stop using what I've placed in your hands to fill other people's empty containers, the flow naturally slows, not as punishment, but because the miracle was always designed to move through you. not simply pool up and stagnate inside you. I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. If these words touch something inside you today, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so we can keep building this strong, growing community of faith together.